Middle East is heating up. Random news segments and so forth and so on. Rebranding. That's what we're talking about here. So let's go. Don't take my word for it. Look that mess up, please.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? KCE, King Chaka.
An educated and united public cannot be controlled. Get organized. Learn to be active.
Looks like we got us another hit.
Did you tell her to get away from me? She's crazy.
Choose your destiny.
An educated and united public cannot be controlled. Get organized. Learn to be active. Investigate both sides of the argument. Come up with your own conclusions.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? KCE, King Chaka.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? Remember, an educated public cannot be controlled. Learn to be active. The views and events expressed here are totally whack and not necessarily the views of anyone. ¿Cómo estás? Bien, bien, bien. ¿Podemos ayudarnos más? Si se puede. And don't take my word for it. Look that mess up, please, for your own benefit. You guys that watch the show all the time regularly, if I would really appreciate some comments or feedback about what you like about the show and what bothers you about the show, because I'm in the process of like rebranding, if you will. And I don't want to give up or whatever. I feel like changing people's minds is not working, if you will. I mean, I guess it took me forever to come around to that, but yeah, like reaching people is not working. Okay. So like, I want to go at this in a different way. So, and I'm not sure which direction I want to go in, but I do want to focus on like news heavy stuff. Like the format's not going to change that much, but like I say, if you guys could help me out, it would help me out a lot. Just leave some comments and let me know what you like about the show and what you don't like about the show, or whatever, what could be improved or whatever. I would really appreciate that. With that said, I'm going to skip the monologues. I think that's one of the things I'm going to change. So I want to get into some random news. Check this.
We learn better when we learn together.
We learn better when we learn together. So yeah, let's go into this news story right here. It's just some stories that caught my eye that were like extra over the top or whatever. Anyways, let's do it. It says FBI offers 25K reward in search for mother who allegedly told relatives she sold her presumed dead 6-year-old disabled son to a woman at a Fiesta grocery store, by Colin Cambacher. This is off a news break. She sold. Uh, who was the person buying? What was they planning on doing with it? Is it a made up story? Did it actually happen? Or she's making it up? The caption, it says left Noel Rodriguez Alvarez, Everman Police Department, right? Cindy Rodriguez, scene, FBI. FBI is on her butt, so they're coming. It says federal authorities have upped the ante in a long, frustrating case of a woman wanted for the disappearance and the presumed death of Noel Rodriguez Alvarez, her 6-year-old disabled son. On Thursday, the Dallas FBI announced they issued an unlawful flight to avoid prosecution warrant for Cindy Rodriguez Singh, along with a $25,000 reward for information leading to her capture. Cindy Rodriguez Singh is wanted for allegedly murdering her own son. Dallas FBI Special Agent in Charge Chad Yarborough said during a press conference, "I'm confident that the combination of publicity, significant reward offering, and the team of experienced investigators assembled by the FBI Fort Worth Resident Agency Violent Crime Squad, Everman Police Department, Tarrant County District Attorney's Office, and Texas DPS Texas Rangers will lead to her arrest. The community of Everman needs justice for Noel." Says related coverage. Noel was last seen alive October 2022, so it's already been 2 years. It says since November of that year, various witnesses have relayed various versions of stories to law enforcement, allegedly told by the boy's mother, purporting to account for his whereabouts. So yeah, that stuff at the top is probably one of those stories. In March 2023, his entire family fled to India. Law enforcement previously learned that Rodriguez Singh boarded an international flight bound for India 2 days before an Amber Alert was issued about Noel's disappearance. Also on that flight were the defendant's 6 other children and husband, Arshdeep Singh. Theories that supported the notion the boy was still alive, however, were quickly replaced by the conviction that he had died, somehow at the hands of his own mother. To date, Noel's body has yet to be found. Overall, physical evidence in the case has been relatively sparse. Yeah, so without a body and without physical evidence, how are they going to prosecute her anyways? I wonder. I remember this case before now, thinking about it. It says Everman Police Chief Craig Spencer has doggedly addressed the case since its inception as a criminal matter in late March 2023 from the position in the small town Fort Worth suburb. During a press conference, the police chief said he was confident the reward money offered would undoubtedly generate new leads, according to the report by Fort Worth. Blah, blah, blah. The work on this case has never stopped. That's evident today, Spencer said. As you can see, we're truly unified with the common goal of seeking justice for Noel and sharing the message that there is no such thing as a throwaway child. What a terrible story. On March 20th, 2023, Child Protective Services agents relayed information that Noel had not been seen in a month. Once officers made contact with the boy's mother, she said her son had been living with his biological father in Mexico since November 2022. At the time, the mother's word and provision of the father's contact information was enough to preclude further investigation, police said. They didn't call the dad and be like, "Hey, is the kid over there with you?" 3 days later, Child Protective agents followed up with police and said they received additional information from the other family members who indicated the boy's whereabouts were unknown and expressed significant concerns for his welfare, the police chief said. Officers picked up the case again, eventually locating Noel's biological father, who said the boy was not, in fact, living with him in Mexico. Rather, the father said he had been deported before he ever met his son. Since the Rodriguez Singh family rushed flight out of the country, a steady drip of sad and troubling developments seemingly confirmed the community's held fears in Everman. So I guess that's why they're making this a big story now, is because they really want to, find this lady. For several months, leads all pointed in one direction: death. A search warrant alleged that Noel's mother told his grandmother she had sold him to another woman at a fiesta market, a chain of Latin American grocery stores prevalent throughout North Texas. When announcing that warrant, Spencer said the boy's mother had in the days leading to his death described Noel as evil, possessed, or having a demon in him. Mm. Then investigators alleged Rodriguez Singh worshipped and idolized a cult-like folk saint who personifies death and is popularly thought to favor the activities of violent drug cartels, citing such claims as very important to the case of the missing boy. Although it had been more or less clear to law enforcement for months that Rodriguez Singh was behind the boy's disappearance, grand jurors only formalized this suspicion in October 2023. Damn, so it took them like a whole year. Let's finish this up. Where did I start? On October 30th, 2023, Rodriguez Singh was indicted in Tarrant County on one count of capital murder, two counts of injury to a child, and one count of abandoning a child without intent to return. Months passed. Eventually, leads ran out. The UFAP warrant was issued. Still no luck. Now the FBI is offering incentives. He's a 6-year-old child murdered by his mother, and anyone who does not have compassion for that and having justice for Noel, hopefully that alone will lead to them calling, Yarborough said. The police chief echoed the gravity of the situation. The immediate capture of Cindy Rodriguez Singh is so incredibly important in the interest of justice, the safety of our communities, as well as the safety of other children in her custody, Spencer said. Noel's one-time foster mother also spoke up about the case this week in an interview with Dallas-based ABC affiliate. It says, Cindy, I think you need to come back, turn yourself in, and face the consequences of what you've done. She told the TV station, it's not too late to tell you what you know during the discussion. If she freaking went to India, then she's gone, bro. I mean, if she doesn't ever come back to the States, I don't know how would they possibly catch her. That 25K is not going to do anything. Oh, what a terrible story. What do y'all think? Why are they making it into a story? Anyways. Do y'all think they're going to find her? I'm looking for this other story and it's not popping up. I don't know why. Oh, wait. I pressed the wrong button. That's why. Okay. Let's look at this one. It says, is this the story? Publisher's website. So it's Click to Houston. Okay. My bad. Let's go to that. Where did it go? Okay, here we go. It says former Houston Methodist nurse sent to jail, loses license for stealing drugs. I think this is the one where the lady was like, she was doping up. How old is this? Is this the same one? Published August 31st, 2024. Holly Galvin Pulsey, digital content producer. What does digital content producer mean? Like they didn't really write it, they just they used AI? Former Houston Methodist nurse sent to jail, loses license for stealing drugs. Let's read this. It says a nurse who manipulated a drug dispensing system at Houston Methodist to steal medications for personal use has been sent to jail and stripped of her license. Alexis Joanne McNeely has permanently surrendered her Texas nursing license after being sentenced to 120 days in Harris County Jail for stealing drugs intended for patients. Following her jail term, she was served 4 years of probation, according to District Attorney Kim Ogg. So she'll do 120 days and then she'll do 4 years of probation. She'll probably be clean at that point, huh? Ain't gonna lie, it's probably the best thing for her. If she's on them drugs so heavy that she's like doing stuff like this, she probably needs to, you know. Is this related? No. It says McNeely, 25, was arrested last year for manipulating medication dispensing system at the Texas Medical Center to steal drugs for personal use. She would empty vials using a syringe, refill them with saline, and return them to the dispenser. Surveillance footage also captured her injecting fentanyl into her hand. Yeah, I did. We did cover this story in the show when it first happened. Yeah, because I clearly remember this now. Yeah, so that's really messed up. Somebody is in pain and they're in the hospital, and the doctors come and they shoot them up, and then the person says, "Hey, this stuff isn't working, man. I'm still feeling a lot of pain." They're like, "Man, we just gave you like 4 cc's. Like, you should be good." Like, man, it's not working. I'm hurting. I mean, it's not really funny, but it's like it's a really terrible situation because the doctor is, or the nurse or whatever, how are they gonna believe them? They might think that they're just trying to get drugs or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's so terrible. There's no way for them to determine how much pain that you're in. Like, they know that certain things are gonna hurt, but they don't know if the medication is actually working or not. You know what I mean? So if it's saline in the thing and you're not getting any drugs at all, and you're sitting there in pain, what if they're finna do some kind of surgery or something, or some kind of, ooh, man, you be sitting there getting surgery done on you without no drugs. It says the investigation revealed that McNeely had stolen fentanyl and hydromorphine multiple times between April 20th and May 10th, 2023. Houston Methodist discovered the crime after a supervisor noticed suspicious vials during a drug audit. Testing confirmed the medication had been replaced with saline, leading to McNeely's arrest. Oh, man, I wonder how long it took him to really freaking discover it. April to May. That's only about a month. But it says McNeely admitted to similar behavior at Baylor University Medical Center in Dallas, where she was previously fired after a drug test returned positive for morphine, hydromorphone, and marijuana. Our job is to protect the community, and in this case, it means ensuring that this woman never be allowed to be a nurse again, Ock said. Being a nurse or any healthcare worker carries an incredible amount of responsibility, and anyone who does not maintain the highest level of integrity should not be allowed to work in that field. Assistant District Attorney Michael Eber, who prosecuted the case, emphasized the importance of ensuring McNeely never practiced nursing again. She pleaded guilty to 2 counts of diversion of controlled substance and was taken into custody immediately, though she could have faced up to 2 years in state jail. The agreement allows for probation for supervision and rehabilitative treatment. Man, there's some people out here They hard up. You call yourself a professional if you're a nurse. You had to go to school, get your licenses and stuff. I mean, just goes to show, man, people that have like chemical dependencies, they're not always the traditional, like stereotypical person. And then it makes you wonder how many others are more slick than her and doing similar stuff in the same position, like other nurses. I wonder. Let's see. Let's go on to another one. I wish I had an assistant, but I don't. One man show here. It says professors of medicine says death appears to be reversible. We're just doing random news stories, by the way. Professor of medicine says death appears to be reversible. Can you get this off of my screen, bro? Are y'all not gonna let me read this? Is there a video? It says a near-death experience expert insists that one's heart stopping doesn't have to be the end, with current medical interventions that can help patients achieve death. Well, we know that. We know that. So that's not really a new thing, you know. What do they call it? Defibrillator? Defibrillator. I know I'm not saying that right. Electric shock, bring your heart back to beating. They've been having that for a long time. I thought it was a video. No. It says in an interview with The Telegraph, Associate Professor of Medicine at New York University, Langone Medical Center, Sam Parnia, insists that by and large, the medical industry is still very behind on the concepts of death and dying. According to Parnia, studies from the last 5 years, including some undertaken by his own eponymous lab in NYU, have suggested that our brains remain salvageable for not only hours, but possibly days after death. And that's not really new either. Like, we've heard this plenty of times before, you know, and how, like, the brain doesn't decay, like, you know, really interesting stuff. And when you think about how different cultures treat death, you know, and the different rituals involved and stuff, when you think about that, that gets kind of heavy. So if your brain is still working like days after you die, it's like technically you're not really dead. I mean, you're not brain dead. It says in one such Parnia lab study from last year, for instance, researchers found that some cardiac arrest patients had memories of their death experience up to an hour after their heart had stopped. And brain activity from those same patients suggests a similar phenomenon. For 40% of those subjects, brain activity also returned to normal or near normal an hour into cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Combined with other studies, including a particularly gruesome one out of Yale that involved decapitated pig brains being revived up to 14 hours after their beheadings. The seemingly death-defying doctor said that the idea that death is a definitive state is simply a social convention that does not conform with the scientific realities. Man, y'all starting to sound like Frankenstein right here. You know, that was a horror fiction, y'all. Don't be trying to make that into something that's real. I mean, if I can remember correctly, the it didn't end well. It says if we remove that social label that makes us think everything stops and look at it objectively, death is basically an injury process, Bernier told the Telegraph. By his reasoning, that process can be reversed not only by using extracorporeal membrane oxygenation machines, which acts as a body's heart and lungs when those functions have failed, but also specific cocktails of drugs that have been demonstrated to aid in the process of resurrection in animal studies. See, now I'm thinking of Lazarus. Lazarus. Why? I'm not saying any names right today. Oh, that's scary. See, now they just scared the crap out of me. I just got spooked out right quick. Um, Yeah, so we know, a lot of people. So when people are being kept alive, and like the family has to make the decision to pull the plug or whatever, unplug folks or whatever, and in that situation, are the people alive or not? Is a good question, you know because if it's taking those machines to keep them alive, are they alive or not? But then there's cases. I remember a story about one where they were going to pull the plug on this guy, and the dad, I think it was the dad of the patient, wouldn't let them do it. Like he pulled out a knife or something and like barricaded himself in the room with them because he told them that his son had squeezed his hand, and they didn't believe him or whatever, and they were gonna pull the plug, and he fought them tooth and nail. um and it ended up that his son woke up. The guy went to jail or whatever. After his son woke up, he surrendered to the police. It's crazy, crazy story. It says Prania told the British newspaper that he believed his team is the only one in the world giving patients these so-called CPR cocktails, which can include epinephrine, the diabetes drug metformin, vitamin C, the antidiuretic drug vasopressin, and the fatigue supplement sobutiamine to cardiac arrest patients in efforts to revive them. The 52-year-old doctor is so confident in his approach that he's taken to telling people that given his age and gender, he's likely going to have a cardiac arrest soon, and that he shouldn't have to die then when interventions like ECMO and CPR cocktails are at his disposal. Yep, now I'm starting to think of the movie Flatliners, where the doctors were playing with it. It says, if I have a heart attack and die tomorrow, why should I stay dead? The death defier asked the newspaper. That's not necessary anymore. Obviously, Pernia's idea of post death revival is extremely dependent upon timing, but if he has his way, we might start seeing beyond death less as a final frontier and more as something reversible in its immediate aftermath or even beyond. So, but no, when you have like a there's all different kinds of heart attacks, right? You know, pulmonary embolism or whatever. Like, there's damage that was done, So, they could say they could bring you back or whatever, but your body, that damage is still done. So the reason why you died was because your body could no longer function because the damage was too much. So you'd have to repair that damage. So I guess if you put them in a like some kind of homeostasis, some kind of state while you're doing like some kind of surgeries to repair the damages and then bring them back. But see, there's a whole lot of stuff going on here. There's ethics, there's like I said, there's surgeries that's gonna need they're gonna need to be done immediately too. Like the more you wait, then the more your body's gonna start deteriorating. You know, and oxygen going to your cells. You know, blood pumping through your veins. Your system is not designed to stop and start again. Like that is not how your system is designed. So I could see all kinds of problems that you wouldn't even be able to foresee, you know, once you start it again or whatever. So, but if you had those machines on you, you had something making your heart pump, you had something brings oxygen into your body, and then they were doing the surgeries to repair whatever damage happened when you had the heart attack, then I could see it. But then in that situation, you didn't really die. So, what's going to happen? Us moving into the future, one of the things with the abortion argument is, when does life start? Is it at conception? Is, is that a life at conception? When does that moment happen? And so I think that as we move forward in science, that's something that's going to be debated, and maybe we can come to some kind of general consensus on that. And then I think the same thing will be true with the death, actually determining when they're actually dead. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's gonna be the new frontier with science as far as biological biological science. When does life actually begin and when does it actually end? Like, because in science they want to be so precise and so specific. you know Maybe it's not for us to know that specific moment or whatever. And then maybe it'll always be debated, no matter how much our technology improves. Maybe we'll still be arguing about when does life start and when does it end or whatever. When you're dead and when you're alive. Is it a clump of cells, zygote? Is it a little baby? you know if they're hooked up to machines and the machines are keeping their blood, their heart pumping and oxygen coming into their body, are they alive? I never sent a link. Oh man, I'm tripping. One second, y'all. Um, let's move on. This was really interesting right here. Woman puzzled when hospital tells her she's dead. This is a related story. Am I sharing? Let's look at this because this is interesting too. Woman puzzled when hospital tells her she's dead. On the computer, you're dead. In England, a woman was told repeatedly by healthcare providers that she was dead, even though she was obviously very much alive. The BBC reports Susan Johnson of Scarborough was perplexed upon being told by multiple institutions that, per their records, she was deceased and couldn't access her government benefits. Oh, I can see that. Like stuff be happening. A paperwork mistake. It was a lady who was having problems with that, and it was like impossible for her to fix it. The government, the way they move. It says the morbid mix-up began in March 2023 when Johnson, a caretaker for a disabled husband, went to a routine appointment at nearby Bridlington Hospital. I gave them my letter and their first words were, "Oh, you're dead," the 62-year-old woman said. I said, "Pardon?" I was in shock. Johnson continued, per the BBC. Then they put something on the computer so I could have the scan, and then they just said bye, and that's it. They retired. The retired housekeeper said that after that interaction, she was shaking like a leaf, but it only got worse from there. After contacting her general practitioner, Johnson was told that the issue had been fixed, but when she got in touch with the UK's Department for Work and Pensions, an apparently bemused agent informed her that on the computer, you're dead. I said, I'm not. I'm still talking to you, the woman recounted to the British broadcaster. I shut down completely, she added. I didn't talk or anything. I was in my own little bubble. In the aftermath of the maddening mix up, Johnson's benefits were reinstated, but the confusion continued when the BBC began trying to piece together what exactly had happened. Scarborough Medical Group, the women GP, said in a statement that it had received electronic instructions from the support service Primary Care Support England to remove her from their records. But when the Newswire contacted PCSE, it said that it had nothing to do with the erroneous death declaration. As a PCSE spokesperson told the BBC, the service only involvement was an automated email to Scarborough Medical Group that was sent after the issue had been resolved. Meanwhile, neither the Kingdom's National Health Service nor the Department of Work and Pensions have been able to figure out who's responsible either, leaving Johnson in a lurch as she tried to move on with her life and get closure from the ordeal. I need to find out why it happened, how, and by whom, she told the BBC. And that person, whoever has pressed the button, shouldn't be working wherever they are. I would think that here comes enter AI. Enter why it needs to be a person that handles stuff like this because I'm guessing, but it could have been just some kind of AI, some kind of automated system that led to this mistake. What's up, Doc?
Hey,
Yeah. Did you hear the story before this one? The freaking
yeah, defibrillator was the word you were looking for.
okay,
And then
yeah.
I said, I put over on YouTube. It's like this crap is how we get a zombie apocalypse.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing
And
them now.
then, yeah, when you were talking about the when life starts, there can be some argument that the early stages of the fetus can actually be considered a parasite. I mean, and you know me, I'm not an abortion fan, but I think we should go back to Roe versus Wade, leave it the fuck alone. And I also think that certain circumstances and things like that should be off the table, no questions asked. Bad things
Yeah,
happening, family on family kind of crap, any kind of risk of health to the mother or quality of life for the child. Those things should be
yeah.
off the
So
table.
yeah, I think the baby is still a parasite the whole time. I'm not trying to sound negative or be funny, but I mean, in all intents purposes, it is right. I mean, it's a life, it's a baby, but it's a parasite to the mother system.
Technically, until it can be removed to an incubator and on its own, it has most of the characteristics. But then again, that's true for uh, all live young.
Yeah, yeah. They're taking everything from the mom. They're taking her oxygen. They're taking her food. They're taking her energy.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if the mom doesn't replenish or doesn't get certain things, I know women who have lost all their teeth because and gotten brittle bones because the fetus actually sucked the calcium and the iron out of them.
Mm. Yeah, man. Making babies got to be scary thing.
Hey, I'll tell you what. If men were the one that had babies, I guarantee you that there would be a lower population on this fucking planet.
Yeah, because
Men can't handle that kind of pain. They can't handle that shit.
mm-mm. Don't even have no desire. They're gonna be like, what? Nah, no kids. I'm not having no kids.
I guarantee you there'd be about probably about 60-70% of the population instead of where we're at.
Yeah, a lot less for sure.
And that's just because some guys are freaking freaks for pain.
Yeah, yeah. I don't like pain.
No, I'm allergic to it. I break out in screams every time.
Check this story out. It says woman fatally shot in East Harris County domestic dispute. Suspect still at large. So this is local right here. And we're gonna be able to watch. Are we gonna be able to see this? Okay. It says a late night dispute in East Harris County resulted in tragedy, leaving a woman dead and a law enforcement searching for her estranged husband, who is believed to be the shooter. According to information obtained from the Click to Houston report, the Harris County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the scene near Perry Street and Harris Street around 11:30 p.m. on Friday. The encounter escalated into violence, during which the woman was fatally shot. And I tell my daughter all the time, like, the murders, it's always a sibling, a significant other, a friend, you know, mom, uncle, cousin. It's most of the time that's what it is. So,
So that's
like,
Baytown.
being afraid of a stranger, afraid of a stranger murdering you, when the statistics say it's most likely to be your spouse or your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your friend, brother, sister, uncle, mother, mom. Is that before fleeing the scene, her estranged husband fired the shots when the woman who was at home with her boyfriend was involved in an argument with him. The authorities' pursuit of the suspect has intensified as the local community is reckoning with the rare outbursts of violence in what officials describe as typically quiet area. Still at large, the suspect's details remain withheld by the police. The Harris County Sheriff's Office shared via X that deputies responded to the incident at a residence in 2400 block of Perry, where they discovered the deceased woman with gunshot wounds. The post from Sheriff Ed Gonzalez confirmed that investigators were en route following the grim discovery. In East Harris County, deputies responded to the shooting at the residence located at 2400 block of Perry. A deceased female with gunshot wounds was found inside the residence. Investigators are en route. So Sergeant Miller from the Harris County Sheriff's Office told Click to Houston this particular neighborhood is an older established neighborhood, probably about 500 homes, somewhat affluent. This type of stuff doesn't happen over here in this area pretty often, so we kind of believe that this might be an isolated deal. It's not something that we think that somebody, it was just a
Yeah.
random deal.
Okay. It's her estranged husband, which means they're not divorced. They're still married. He pops up. She's got the guy in the house.
Yeah.
Husband shoots her.
Yeah.
Sounds like a jealousy thing to me. That stuff doesn't tend to spill out into the streets or have repeat.
Yeah. Yeah. It says in a
And
community of
that's a
custom.
very Texan thing to happen too.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it would happen in all kinds of places, but Texas, we got so much access to weapons. I mean, everybody,
Oh, it
what
has
I'm saying
nothing,
is like it's
dude.
an
It's
old
got
lady.
nothing to do with access to weapons. Don't even fucking start trying to spin it that way.
I'm just saying, bro. Let me read on. It says in a
Okay,
community
so he
accustomed to
would have been
such.
stabbed to death in fucking England. Whatever. Story is still the same. Doesn't matter the
Yeah.
weapon used. That's just nitpicking for a fucking political fucking statement.
Let me read on. It says in a community accustomed to such incidents, unaccustomed to such incidents, the efforts
Come
to
on.
contact her two children to relay the tragic news about the woman in her 40s continue. So that's the end of it. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Just a rage moment. Sometimes people, they maybe don't even, really want to do whatever it is, they're just kind of like having a moment, and it just kind of takes over, and they're just like,
Well, estranged could mean a lot of different things too. They could be broken up, they could be separated. He could have been telling him, hey, yeah, maybe talk, they may be in process for divorce. They may be fighting over it. I'm just glad that according to what we see so far, there aren't no kids involved. Because if there's kids involved, those kids would have lost both of their parents right there. Because he going to jail.
yeah.
He came over with a weapon. He ended her. He going to jail.
Yeah, eventually they're gonna find him.
And he gonna get his butt kicked in jail because he ended a woman.
Shoot, I did the wrong one. Hold on. I need a better way to do this. Let's look at this one. California passes school food bill banning 6 chemicals linked to behavioral issues in kids. The California legislature has sent to the governor's desk a bill to ban 6 artificial dyes from use in public school foods. It's not going far enough, if you ask me. Let's read this. We got an author, Kristen Rogers, CNN. It says the California legislature has passed a bill with bipartisan support banning the use of red dye number 40 and 5 other chemicals in foods served at public schools. On Thursday, the Golden State became the first in the country to pass a bill that, if signed into law, will forbid the use of the ingredients found in some popular cereals, ice creams, drinks, candy, ice pops, cheese-flavored chips, jellies, and more. According to the Environmental Working Group, a nonprofit environmental health organization that co-sponsored the law with Consumer Reports. It says, known as the California School Food Safety Act and introduced by the Democratic Assembly. What the freak? I don't want to create an account, bro. I just read the article. Am I still sharing? You have to deal with the ads or you deal with the paywall. It's like one or the other. Where did I stop? Known as the California Food Safety Act and introduced by Democratic Assembly member Jesse Gable in February, Assembly Bill 2316 prohibits the school district, county superintendent of schools, or charter school with grades kindergarten through 12 from offering foods or beverages containing red dye number 40, yellow dyes numbers 5, 6, blue dyes number 1 and 2, and green dye number 3. California Governor Gavin Newsom, a Democrat, has until September 30th to sign into the law the bill that, if legalized, would be enacted on December 31st, 2027. Dang, that's a long way away. California is the home to the largest school system in the nation with more than 6.3 million students and 10,000 schools. Tony Thurman, State Superintendent of Public Instruction and bill co-sponsor, said in a news briefing hosted by EWG on August 6th, the bill stems from concerns these dyes would harm children's ability to learn, as they have been linked to behavioral difficulties and decreased attention among children, according to a 2021 study by the California Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment. The law is important to me as a parent. It's important to me as somebody who struggled with ADHD as a child, and it's important to me as a parent of a child who is struggling with ADHD, Gabriel said in the briefing. We know that the synthetic food dyes that are targeted by this bill can cause harm for all kids, but we know that there are especially pronounced impact on a lot of our young people with ADHD and other challenges. Gabriel and EWG said that though new science is available, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's current regulations of dye and food is based on research that 35 to 70 years old. Researching the safety of chemicals in food now, as new relevant data become available, is a priority for the FDA, the agency said in a statement. The FDA has reviewed the research on the effects of colored additives on children's behavior, including the literature review cited by the bill. The totality of scientific evidence shows that the most children have no adverse effects when consuming foods containing color additives, but some evidence suggests that certain children may be sensitive to them. So they're saying only certain children. Hmm. In addition to the FDA's own evaluation, the agency also supports and participates in international risk assessment conducted under the Joint Food and Agriculture Organization, the United States World Health Organization Expert Committee on Food Additives. This story makes me think about how, like, in the political news, they were talking about, what were they saying? I freaking lost it now. Was it RFK? Was it Trump? They were talking about you know, doing coming up with some kind of legislation related to the food. I can't think of what the story is I'm thinking of right now. Like, it's slipping my mind. But that was coming from the Republican side. But this is, coming out of California, and these are the Democrats actually passing some kind of legislation.
Well,
But
see, I got two different directions on this particular thing right now. One, it's tokenism. They're doing this stuff, and even up there, it admitted that it's kind of sort of linked, but they're not really sure. It may affect more kids than others if it really does affect them that much. But the truth is, I'm okay with getting rid of that stuff anyway, because if you look at it, every one of those is on the UK's ban list too. I mean, but it's just tokenism until they want to. I'm sorry, as long as they have a Coke machine in there and they're giving them the the sugars and the caffeine and stuff like that, they can't say they're trying to help kids focus and maintain and stuff like that. Because that stuff, all it does is give them the inability to focus, and then they get listless and stop paying attention as that sugar crash hits.
yeah,
So, I
I
mean, that
I agree with you on that completely. They did say something about drinks, but they were still only talking about the dyes.
right.
So
So until they ban the sugar and the caffeine, and no offense, this means chocolate candy bars too. There's more caffeine in those than you realize. Plus, they're pure sugar. I mean, until they start doing that, then this is all just games. And as soon as I saw the WHO involved in it, now I'm like, yeah, now I'm really shy about it. Just because, I really am a fan of trusting them after the last few years.
yeah,
Say as soon as I see their name involved, I'm like, oh, is there money that we need to look up and find out what's going on with? Say, is someone getting paid to do this or not do this? Is one brand company that doesn't put these in it going to take over and be the only distributor of those particular items and things like that in the high schools now?
yeah, yeah. So maybe it's some kind of like play like that. This is saying what you were saying. Let me read this. It says, if Newsom signs the bill, the decision will render the United States food environment more in alignment with that of the European Union, where products, including these dyes, are required to have a warning label saying those products could harm young people, Gabriel added. It says the point of this bill is to encourage manufacturers to make minor modifications to their recipes so that they can serve the same food that we all love, that our kids love, but without these dangerous chemicals that harm people, he added. We have incredible confidence that they are able to do that because they make the same products in so many countries around the world, just without the harmful chemicals. So, yeah, so maybe, hopefully, I mean, on the bright side, maybe it could, you know,
Don't expect the price to
incentivize.
stay the same.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
why they do
hopefully.
it. They can make it cheaper.
Hmm. I mean, that makes
So
sense.
yeah, I mean that's why they do it. And they're either charge more, have smaller amounts, or just take the smaller profit margin over in Europe because American stuff sells more as a novelty than a, you know, like we do stuff here. It's like, oh, that's American chips. Yeah, I want to try those more. Kind of like when we see, oh, that's those Chinese candies. I want to try some of those. It's like that. More of a novelty. But we're getting them. They're starting to like our ice creams.
Hmm. Let me read a little bit more. It says, however, Goebel and other assembly members believe that given the size of California's economy, the law is a major victory for food safety movement, not only here in the state of California, but also nationally, he said, also noting that more than 70 organizations support the bill. After the state banned brominated vegetable oil, used mostly in some sodas, as part of its California Food Safety Act in October 2023, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration revoked the regulations for its use in 9 months later. So their move, you know, motivated, the FDA to make changes.
Mountain Dew used to have brominated vegetable oil in it, and it doesn't
Mm,
anymore. And I found out and followed it because I used to drink a Mountain Dew, and it was not a pleasant experience the day after.
mm,
I'd get some little out of nowhere that are
yeah.
like, "Ooh, I need to I need to fart a little bit." It's like, "Oh, I can't trust this. I got to go sit down." And that was one liter of Mountain Dew, and I'd be like that for about 4 hours. To be after about 3 or 4 hours, I'd be like that for about 3 or 4 hours.
You know, I
Not fun
avoid
as a
a
bartender.
I avoid a lot of this stuff anyways. Like I don't bring this stuff and I don't bring potato chips in the house. We don't drink sodas,
Oh,
we
some
don't eat
some
candy.
potato chips, if you actually read the bag, say may cause anal leakage. Pun intended. I shit you not. I've actually seen it with my own eyes on a bag because I lost $20 on it. Because he said, those chips make you ooze in your booty, and I'm like, what you mean? It's like he says, yeah, they cause some leakage, and I'm like, no, they don't. He says, I bet you $20 they do. I'm like, okay. Says, read the back of the bag. I did, and it's like I just threw them away right there. I didn't even eat another one. I haven't eaten them since.
Yeah, so I think us talking about the food dye number 5 or whatever. At the end of the day, these processed foods are going to be terrible regardless, and it's probably best to just avoid them overall. Even though it's a good thing for them to do these things, is
Yeah,
what I'm saying is for us, we need to be very wary about consuming any of this stuff.
and read your potato chip bag.
Let me read a little more of this. It says, avoiding these chemicals in food. It says, if you're concerned about the potential impacts of these dyes on your child's health, you can help them avoid them by checking the ingredients list of any products you buy, experts said, particularly packaged foods, which are typically ultra processed and thus are more likely to include artificial dyes, according to the EWG. And this is a thing that I've noticed that happens when you see the people that are reading people are reading the ingredients list more nowadays. You can see you walk down the aisles and you see people really really reading that stuff.
But see, it's not just in the ingredients list that you see little warnings like that. You have to look at the other little boxes and things. Or they'll put it at the very end of the ingredients list after your brain is already so foggy with all of these consonants and syllables and words that are actually seem to be more fake than the stuff that's inside the box.
Yeah.
And, by then your brain is numb. So you just, now wait, anal what? It's like, whoa, that wasn't part of the deal. I just wanted something to dip in some salsa. I didn't want it
Let
to
me read a
make
little bit.
salsa.
That's terrible. It says you can also try
Yeah.
alternatives with those ingredients. It says foods that are USDA certified organic, for example, can't contain artificial food dye. Cut back on sodas, juices, or sports drinks that might contain them as well. Offering kids substitutes may be more effective than flat out denial of something they're craving. I don't know, man. They need, that it's we get addicted to these chemicals, and then our body does crave them. But if we don't ever get addicted to them, or if we just cold turkey cut it out, then we won't crave them.
Just
You
go
know.
back to Kool-Aid, the original red dye.
Mm.
Say, you got sugar? Well, no, because even those are all full of, they're even crazier with chemicals now. They used to be pretty much straight, just dehydrated flavor packet, quote
Yeah.
unquote.
Yeah. I can't. I stopped drinking Kool Aid years and years ago when I realized it made my stomach hurt. I couldn't do it.
There's other brands that are better than Kool-Aid, a lot. Weiler's was better for a longest time than Kool-Aid, but everyone's used to the Kool-Aid particular flavor that they have.
Yeah.
I mean, whichever one was that grew up, or whichever one hit your memory from back in the day, that's what you remember is Kool-Aid.
Yeah, they have those little packages that people put into the water bottles or whatever. My mom likes to drink those, but I don't.
They taste
They
weird.
have like yeah, they taste weird. It feels like it's a lot of salt in them.
If you take a look, most of them have aspartame in them. Aspartame is a sweetener that's used. You can get it in powder form and stuff like that. It's in most diet drinks. That's that weird chemically taste that's in almost every diet drink that tastes the same. That little aftertaste that tastes the same for no matter what diet drink you drink. And it actually is known to give people migraines, of which I am one of those people. If I
Yeah,
drink more than about 12 ounces of a diet
screw
soda,
that.
I will end up with a migraine within the next couple of hours.
Yeah, I don't drink any of those. I don't like those artificial sweeteners. If I'm gonna do sugar, I'm just gonna do sugar, and just limit the amount. But I'm not gonna do a substitute sugar.
Sugar in the raw is one of the best. It's actually better than white sugar, but it is a little off and requires getting used to it. But it doesn't go through the bleaching process, so it's still kind of in its brown color, and it's sugar in the raw. It's not bleached and processed like regular sugar is, and it's better for you, and it's actually a little bit sweeter because it still has all of its original moisture from the sugar cane and stuff in it. It's got that brown coloring instead of being bleached out, so worth
Yeah, I know
trying.
exactly. I know
It's
exactly
the
what you're
brown
talking
for waiters out there. It's the brown package.
about. I want to say back in the days that was the cheaper sugar.
No, well, it was cheaper when you're buying bulk and stuff like that, but since it got really popular in the 90s, it now is more expensive than regular sugar to get all the one that's got less processing. But to be fair, it's not made in a large of a batch either. So, when you do 80 tons of sugar and bleach it and all that, it's going to be cheaper per pound than 8 tons of sugar.
Mm. Let's look at this story right here. It says, woman deposits 6,000 into scammer's JP Morgan Chase account. Banking giant says reimbursement not happening. Yeah, man. They get you, bro. And well, you can't blame the bank because it's like,
it's not JP Morgan's situation. It's hers and her bank's.
yeah, well, either way, it's like, you could just be like, you're gonna take somebody's word to take some money out of somebody else's account. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Oh, they scammed me and made me put
I'm not
money in
gonna
their account.
I'm not gonna knock people that get scammed because they're really getting good at it.
Yeah. I'm
I
talking about from the
mean,
bank's perspective, them moving money from one account to another off based off the word of someone. You know, they scammed
yeah,
me, so put the money back into my account or whatever. Like,
no, yeah, that shit has to be shut down by law enforcement, and then a court has to order reimbursements. But
so
it is also not unreasonable that they investigate that bank account if there's sufficient claim of wrongdoing there. They have a certain responsibility to double check it and go, yeah, we need to suspend this account until we know what's going on with it.
let's read some of this. It says JP Morgan Chase says it's not responsible after an Ohio woman deposited 6,000 directly into a scammer's Chase bank account. The scammer initially called the victim and pretended to be with Huntington Bank, convincing her that a fraudulent transaction would execute if she didn't withdraw the cash from her account. The CBS affiliate Cleveland 19 News cited a police report. After she obtained the cash, the scammer gave her a Chase debit card number, instructing her to add the card to her Apple Wallet. The thief then convinced her to go to Chase ATM, tap the Chase debit card on her Apple Wallet, and deposit the 6,000 into the scammer's Chase account. Once the transaction was complete, the woman says she went home and realized she'd been scammed while talking with the criminal on FaceTime. She said he told her they needed to do a full body scan to verify her identity due to a failed transaction. The woman told police she undressed and spun in circles on FaceTime. When she heard the scammer laughing, that's when she realized it was all a hoax. The victim reported the fraud to the bank
Should not
and
be
filed
laughing.
the victim reported the fraud to the bank and filed a police report. Although the scammer banked with Chase, the lender says she is responsible for losing the money.
He is.
It says banks use a combination of automated identity checks, human oversight, and collaboration with law enforcement and one another to detect fraudulent accounts, and their methods are currently being investigated by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The regulators is reportedly investigating whether JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and other large unnamed banks are doing enough to vet their customers and terminate scam accounts as part of a broader inquiry on Zelle scams. Yeah, man. As technology improves, I mean, the scammers are just going to get better and better at it. But you can't be silly like
I'm
come
sorry
on.
that's one of those. Maybe that's God's way of saying you didn't need that money anyway. Because yeah, I'm sorry. It's horrible that this woman got stolen from. It is, and I hope that things work out and stuff like that. But damn,
Yeah, man.
I went to public schools, and damn.
There's no way, bro. Like whenever stuff is too complicated and convoluted or something is going on. You know what I mean? They need you to go down to the thing and do the thing and then do this thing. Like, no, bro. Yo, what are y'all doing on y'all end? One of the scams that almost got me was the one with the gift card. It was like the dude wanted me to buy a gift card. I think it was saying that you won some money or something, but you needed to go to the store and buy a gift card. And then I was like, okay, nah, this is not real. This is definitely a scam. Just grab the
We had
gift
one the
card.
other day. My girl's wallet had gotten lifted while we were, or basically the wallet got stolen. And the guy calls her up and says, "This was found with the identity salespeople and stuff like that. And if you don't pay a fine, we're going to send people to your house or job to arrest you." And so she was worried about it and stuff like that. We started circling around. And finally, I'm like, okay, let's find names and stuff like that. Finally, I found out. I managed to find the guy's address and stuff like that. We just forwarded it to the FBI because he was claiming to be an FBI officer. So we forwarded everything we had to the FBI, going, well, he pretended to be an FBI officer to us. So technically, he's a felon. Here's his address. We had his phone numbers and everything. But that's a pretty good one. They get you to think you're involved in a crime or like that. And if you pay your fine, they'll make it stop.
Yeah. Well,
And
you
they were
know
telling
that.
her she was going to be arrested for human trafficking and for selling her identity and all kinds of crap like that. And it's like, all they did was snag her damn purse out of a fucking handbasket at a store.
Mm. And they're trying to figure out a way to make some money off of that. Let's do this one. It says Justice Department watchdog finds failures in FBI handling of child sex abuse cases by Alana Durkin 2 days ago. Washington AP. The FBI has failed to report some child sexual abuse allegations to local law enforcement or social service agencies, even after changes prompted by its handling of the case against former USA Gymnastics team doctor Larry Nasser, according to a Justice Department watchdog report released Thursday. I know I recognize this dude's face. That dude got away for a long time doing that stuff.
Like 10, 20 years almost.
And the girls, they were telling people that this dude was doing stuff and they didn't believe them.
That was Michaela Macaroni and her team were the ones that finally brought him down. Because they got the next year's and previous year's gymnasts they all got together right at the edge of the Me Too movement, and they all got together, and finally there was enough of them. It's like, well, we have no choice but to look into this, and they did. And yeah, he's another one of those that's not going to do well in prison.
Let's read on. It says, in a review brought on by FBI failures to promptly investigate Nasser, the Inspector General found serious problems persist that run the risk of child sexual abuse allegations falling through the cracks as overworked agents juggle dozens of cases at a time. In one case, a victim was abused for 15 months after the FBI first received a tip about a registered sex offender, the report said. And that whole thing that got our police chief up out of there and his two top deputies, that happened recently here in Houston. It was related to all of these cases that they wasn't investigated. And a lot of those cases were sexual abuse cases. Thousands of cases. It was like 500,000 cases, some shit like that. Our police chief, why can't I think of his name right now? He had to step down as a result of that. he had to retire early.
Good.
And even afterwards, I was reading the article because he was quiet for the longest after it happened, and then he talked to the press, and he was like, it was a lot of stuff going. And he said there's more to this than they're telling you. Like, uh, like he inherited a lot of that. Like he was saying this stuff was going on. They had a code that they were using to put all of these cases in, and it was a code that said, what was it? Inefficient, not enough people to investigate, something like that. Lack of personnel, some shit like that. It was a code that they used every time.
See, I
And
don't understand why fucking people that are out there fucking kitty diddling are not on the priority fucking list. And I don't understand why at this point in time we're not looking at like Florida laws where when one of them gets caught, not with one, but like 8, 10 guys, series been doing it for series, that we don't just out, remove them from the fucking earth. Sorry, this is one of my
yeah, let's read on. It
like
says,
my boy says, wood chipper 2024 for people like that.
yeah. Let's read on. It says, this report makes clear that the FBI is simply not doing its job when it comes to protecting our children from the monsters among us who stalk them, said John Manley, a lawyer who represents victims of Nassar. Despite years of promises and numerous congressional hearings, it's now clear that the Larry Nassar scandal could happen again today. A senior FBI official acknowledged that the Bureau has made mistakes in investigating crimes against children, but said the vast majority of work has been handled appropriately. Ensuring safety and security of children is not just a priority for the FBI, it is a solemn duty that we are committed to fulfilling with the highest standards. The FBI's efforts combating crimes against children are among the most critical and demanding undertakings we do, the FBI said in a statement. The inquiry follows a scathing 2021 report that found the FBI's failure to take action against Nassar allowed the doctor to continue to prey on victims for months before his 2016 arrest. The FBI put in place many changes, but the Inspector General says more are needed to protect children. In a review of more than 300 cases between 2021 and 2023, the Inspector General flagged 42 cases for the FBI that required immediate action because there was no evidence of recent investigative steps taken or because of other concerns, according to the report. The Inspector General found no. Go ahead.
This kind of stuff right here is why, and I'm going to do a left-right thing here. This is why the left can sit there and keep saying, "Oh, this kind of stuff isn't really happening. It's not really happening," and why the right's been going, "Yes, it is. We see it on the local level. We see it on the small level, and it's not being brought up above that." And it's there. It's all, well, we don't see it happen very much, and here we're seeing it. It is. It's much more common than it's believed or the media is covering, because the media has the ability to sit there and go, "Oh, well, this is them. They're handling it. It's going to," and then they're not doing it, which means all of this is out of the statistics.
Right. So it makes me think of what happened with the black book of what's his name, the guy who
I
supposedly
didn't
killed
kill
himself.
myself guy.
Yeah. So
well, the girls may not say it, but the America says he was well hung.
They're protecting these people who do these things is what I think is happening. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what it is. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense. Like, we never heard all of that was going on. The only people that got in trouble was him and his girlfriend, right? Did anybody else go to jail related to that?
There's been some peripheral stuff, but nothing much. I mean, nothing important, nothing big.
There had to be a lot more people involved in that. And it had to be people who were, partaking of his services, if you will.
I think at least half of the staff of the island should be in fucking jail too. Because you can't tell me the people that took care of that house and cleaned it and did the garden and the yards and cooked the food and all that didn't have some freaking clue as to what was going on.
Where did I stop? It says the FBI accepted all the findings and recommendations of the report. Did I read that? Among the changes the FBI is committed to is the development of a training program for investigators and supervisors focused not only on investigative techniques but also on Bureau's own policies and procedures. Most of the incidents that the Inspector General flagged to the Bureau reflected the failure to properly document completed investigative steps or involved investigators who where no additional action was necessary. Michael Norwell, FBI Executive Assistant Director, wrote in a letter included to the report. So, failure to properly document completed investigative steps or involved investigations where no additional action was necessary. So it's like, it's to me that like this is a procedure. This is a policy to not thoroughly investigate this stuff, to not thoroughly document it.
That's the kind of stuff that gets people out on appeals, even though they did the freaking crime.
Right, because the damn paperwork wasn't together.
I mean, and then they can't be tried for it, even if new evidence comes up saying that they did it. They've been tried, convicted, acquitted, done. They can't be brought back up on the charges again.
Some double jeopardy.
They got to find some new charge to come up with.
Let's read on. It says Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Dick Durbin said the panel will hold a hearing on the FBI mishandling of child sexual abuse allegations later this year. The FBI's failure enabling Larry Nassar's abuse of young victims continue to remain a stain on the Bureau, the Democrat from Illinois said. Even while acknowledging errors, the FBI stated the overwhelming burden on agents tasked with investigating crimes against children, given the conduct involved, an influx in tips flooding into law enforcement, increased use of encrypted technology to conceal the offense, and budget cuts. When? Freaking don't be, this sound like a bunch of damn excuses. I think they don't make any money off of this. You know what I mean? Like, it's not lucrative. It's like, protecting property, there's money involved. In this, there's not.
Here's my real question. What officer that knows that this kind of shit's going on and knows that he is too busy to handle it on his plate doesn't call the local law enforcement in the area, at least give them a call and email the fucking file over?
They're notorious for not wanting to share,
And as I say, fuck this jurisdiction bullshit. Jurisdiction should not matter when the immediate safety of children are involved, especially with predators.
And you probably got those state agencies with thumbs up their butts, like bored. They don't have nothing to do. They're like standing around. Like, they probably would like to have a case like this to be able to work on, something they could sink their teeth into.
Some reason to get up, dressed up in their SWAT gear and kick a door in.
Let's read on. It says, citing one agent who was juggling about 60 investigations, the Inspector General said special agent must consistently triage their caseload. The Inspector General said the FBI needs to come up with a plan to tackle the growing number of cases to ensure that agents are able to manage the cases on their plate. That sounds like BS to me, man. I'm sorry.
Well, why don't you move about half of those officers that are going after political opponents and shit like that over to actual crimes?
Let's read on. It says the report released in 2021 faulted the FBI for failing to treat Nasser's case with the utmost seriousness and urgency, and then making numerous errors and violating policies when it did finally swing into action. Nasser pleaded guilty to in 2017 to sexually assaulting gymnasts and other athletes with his hands under the guise of medical treatment for hip and leg injuries. The FBI has described the actions of the officials involved in Nasser's investigation as inexcusable and discredit to the organization. In April, the Justice Department announced a 138.7 million settlement with more than 100 people who accused the FBI grossly mishandling the allegations against Nasser.
And guess who pays that?
Probably
Our
us.
taxes.
Yeah.
They don't have any. Technically, the FBI don't have any money. It's not going to come out of their pocket. It's going to come out of the friggin' general fund that our taxes go into, just like all the government lawsuits do. I mean, I'm glad those guys are getting, 13 million a piece and stuff like that. But was it the money they were after, or was it getting a predator put away? I mean, at some point, we got to stop giving out these incredibly crazy amounts. But again, I'm not arguing with it. I'm not saying bad against it, and stuff like that. But we got to start looking at, 100 people, 138 million. Oh, that's like 1.4 million each. Okay, that's reasonable. 1.4 million invested properly would be about $4,000 or $5,000 a month for the rest of their lives. I'm okay with that. Plus, they were all Olympic gymnasts and actually worked hard for our country and themselves.
Yeah. A lot of them probably pretty comfortable already.
Oh, yeah.
Monetarily.
Well, after the Olympics, they were. They do well. They get guest spots. But if you look up Olympic athletes and stuff like that, not all of them do well.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them are barely hanging on. Some of our early athletes is as early or as soon back as the 80s and 90s were selling their medals just because they needed money.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard some stories like that. Let's look at some headlines. Anyways, let's look at some headlines. I'm trying to do these transitions. I'm gonna make some more of those. Change the look of the show. That's why the name of it is rebranding. I'm trying to update, change things. Headlines. Let's take a look at this. AP. Top headline says family confirms death of Israel American hostage Hirsch Goldberg, Poland. Family of Israeli American hostage Hirsch Goldberg, Poland says he has been killed in the Gaza Strip. I want to say that was the guy who was making the TikTok videos. It says Harris calls Trump's appearance at Arlington a political stunt that disrespected sacred ground. Yeah, that thing has been making its rounds like crazy. I really don't know why they make that into such a big story, but I don't know. It's
Arlington National Cemetery has long had a policy of no politics, no bullshit. This is about the soldiers. Left side's calling it a political stunt. Right side is flat out. He was requested by some, not all, of those families to take a picture at their gravesite. He should not have done it with the media cameras on him. He should have taken those pictures sent them to the families and stuff like that.
Yeah, so some kind of physical confrontation happened as a result of that. The guy who was working there was trying to keep them from taking the pictures. And so, yeah, some kind of physical confrontation happened. But I don't know. I think they're making this more than it is, but it's because we're getting closer and closer to the election. So every little thing now,
Anything they can demonize him for, and so she can avoid talking about what her actual policies and stuff are, is in her favor. Because
yeah.
I'm still waiting to hear anything about what she's really going to do other than wishful thinking so far.
Well, they had an interview. I have some clips on that. We
I,
can go to that in a
I
minute.
watched. I've watched the interview already.
Oh, okay.
Say, did you watch the interview with JD Vance?
I haven't been following none of it
Same,
closely.
same interviewer. You should watch him and see the different disposition from that interviewer and the types of question and the back and forth between the two of them. You really should.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
really.
just it's not just what people are saying on the media, man. You need to see it for yourself.
Yeah, I haven't had time. Normally I would have. I probably would have been into it, and I would
Dude,
have
I
been
watched the whole
thoroughly.
freaking DNC for you, man, and then you did your show on it when I was still at work.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I freaking like I say, man. School started, and it's my last semester, and that's my freaking focus, bro. I'm not putting a lot of, and plus, I'm kind of like, I'm tuned out. I'm like, what's the word? I'm like emotionally exhausted, bro, with this politics.
Then
So
stop picking sides and fuck with both of them.
I just been avoiding it mostly. I've been watching movies and everything, listening to music, everything but politics lately. Only a little
Dude,
bit of it. Still goes down my timeline, but I haven't been into it.
honestly, with an open mind, I've been trying to convince myself to be open about Kamala and all this. And she's actually, instead of talking me out of voting for an independent, actually voting for the asshole.
Mm,
She's scared. She's scaring me, man.
mm. Let's look at this one. It says RFK Jr. sues North Carolina Elections Board as he seeks to remove his name from the ballot. So he's like, I dropped out, so I want y'all to take my name off. And I guess
It
they're like,
it
it's too
should
close.
be. He's
Too close.
he's officially dropped from the ballot. If it doesn't cost them any money or any changes, there's no reason for him to be on there.
It probably does cost them money. It's really close to the election. A lot of the stuff is already like printed and put together or whatever the hell.
It should, but if he was asking to get it removed before the DNC, because he's already said I'm not going to be president months ago. And technically, until the candidate is finalized with the announcement from the DNC, they shouldn't have any ballots printed.
But he didn't officially announce his dropping
Yeah, he
out. It was
did.
about a week.
He
It's only
dropped
been
he
about a
dropped
week.
out. He dropped out right after he dropped out completely right after the Libertarian Party made Trump their candidate when Trump wasn't even on their ballot, when they snuffed him entirely. He's like, that's
Yeah.
it. I'm out this time. And that was still a week or two before the DNC, which, like I said, as much as was said, the official candidate does not get picked until the DNC. So they really shouldn't have had ballots put up anyway.
Let's look at this headline. It says 49ers wide receiver Rick Purcell shot in attempted robbery in San Francisco. Condition serious but stable. What, they was trying to rob him? It says hip hop artist Fat Man Scoop dies at 53 after collapsing on stage in Connecticut.
I can honestly say I've never heard of him.
Yeah, he's not like he's a side name, if you will. Like
Well,
you'd have to.
I listen to indie artists and stuff like that. I don't like most of the main artists.
Well, no, he's not an indie artist. He's like a mainstream guy, but he's not the guy that would be the face of the
Oh,
song. Like
he's like one of those other 8 guys on stage with the main guy when they do their thing, and they're all moving in and out of the performance.
Kinda. I mean, that's kind of it. Because, like, he has a really distinctive voice, and he just kind of comes in on songs. Like, he doesn't sing like a verse or whatever. He just kind of,
He's like a feature guy.
yeah, not even features. It's more like a backup vocals kind of guy.
I may have heard him.
Yeah, he's on major songs. You've heard this dude's voice. Let's see. Next one, it says, on the first day without X, many Brazilians say they feel disconnected from the world. Yeah, so Brazil, they was like, we want Eon. What did they ask him to do? They asked him to like clean up the site a bit related to like misinformation and disinformation and stuff like that in Brazil. And Eon was like, screw y'all. So Brazil was like, well, we're just gonna, block X from our country. So people in Brazil can't access Twitter on their computers or their phones.
Oh, Musk refused to name a legal representative in Brazil.
That's what it was. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I remember reading that. Yeah. So next one, it says Mexico.
So they're trying to sue his whole company for violation of Brazilian speech laws and stuff, is what it seems to be. And he doesn't have a legal representative there that they can pull into court and answer for anything.
Let's read this one. It says Mexico offers escorted rides north from southern Mexico for migrants with U.S. asylum appointments.
You've heard about the Telegram guy, right?
Yeah. I kind of wanted to cover that. I would have covered that when it happened. I did a bunch of clips on it, and I was prepared to do the show, but I didn't feel like doing the show, so I just didn't do it.
Well, the big twist in that case that makes it different is he actually has dual citizenship in France and wherever he's from. So technically, he is subject to their speech laws as an individual. But I don't know how that company how that would affect the company.
And I feel like, I mean, like, it's a lot of shady stuff going on in Telegram. Like, anybody that knows or have used Telegram, like, it's the perfect place to do scams. Like WhatsApp, it's similar to WhatsApp. A lot of scams happening on Telegram, but I would say I don't know that I could hold the guy who created the app or whatever accountable for all the scams that's happening on his app in that way. I mean, it's like
holding Nobel guilty or in for everything that was ever been done with dynamite.
Yeah, it's not fair. It's not fair because the way the app was created so that you can have a certain amount of privacy or whatever, right? So that was the point of it. And so, of course, someone that wants to do scams, that's the perfect ass environment for them. They can hide their identities and stuff like that. You don't know who you're dealing with on the app. So, but still, I don't see how they can really just blame that guy for that. Like, people do shady things on something I created and it's my fault. Why don't y'all go catch those people who's doing the shady stuff?
Well, there were people arguing that since 45 was technically in charge of the government, that made him legally responsible for all the bad things that local police did.
Yeah. No, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, neither do I, but it was very popular back when um, 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 the mostly peaceful protests were going on.
This one, it says mostly peaceful protest. I got a video on that too. Like, I don't agree with the mostly peaceful protest, but yeah, let's read this one. It says pilot declared emergency loss of autopilot before a crash that killed 3 members of famed gospel group. Another one, passengers bought berths on a 3-year cruise. Months on the ship is still stuck in Belfast. A 3-year cruise?
How would you ever walk right again?
How do you do that if you don't have a job? I guess you're retired.
Well, I've been reading a lot about cruises and stuff like that, and that's exactly what old people do.
Yeah.
They'll get on a 6-month cruise or a 3-month cruise knowing that they ain't going to make it off. I mean,
Yeah.
because they got no money, they got no, they got money, they got no family, nothing to do. Why wait it out at home? I'll just go cruise until I cruise.
Yeah, and you have people that are doing it for their retirement, and they're saying it's cheaper because they just go from one cruise to another to another to another, and it's
Yeah,
just
you can
cheaper.
pay $900 for your a grand for a 2, 3, 4 week cruise, or you can pay $4,000 for a retirement home a month.
Yeah,
and you get taken care of better.
yeah, and it's more fun.
It's really crazy though to start thinking about it, and that might actually be something to look into for a show, is the rising cost of elderly care.
Mhm.
That some people actually cruise rather than go into an elderly care facility because it is cheaper.
And it's really sad. I got a coworker right now who his brother, they had to
It's
sell
sad
his
or
house.
beautiful depending upon the side of the point of view you want to take on it.
Well, what I'm talking about is people go to these old folks' homes to die, man. That's what's sad. And the people in these places, they treat these people bad, and that's
And
part of
mind
the
you,
reason
no,
why they die.
we're not talking about hospices, right? We're talking about actual old folks' homes here.
We're talking about
Because they're
old
two
folks' homes.
they're two different there are two different things.
Yeah. I know the difference.
Okay.
No, I'm talking about regular old folks' homes.
Thank you.
It's
I
because
just want to clarify that for the viewers and the listeners, because it is a big difference, but there's horrible treatment going on in both of them.
yeah, in both of them, I agree. But hospice is one thing because you're on your way out. But regular old folks' home,
They're still
you
they're still fighting, hanging
you
on.
and you end up on your way out because of the treatment. What they're doing to these people. That's what I'm talking about. Is really, 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 really sad. Super sad. Mistreating these folks. Can't trust these people, man.
After we get this education thing going and stuff like that, that should be another focus too. We need to get our education system and stuff fixed so we got people smart enough, kind enough, and able enough to take care of these freaking people. Because these kids now, a lot of people are going in and they get mad and they take that anger into that job, and these old people are cranky and pissy and annoying. And I understand it's a hard job, but a lot of these people I've seen don't have the temperament for that job. I mean, I know a lot of people that went into nursing because they could not stand the way they were treated as a waiter. And I'm sorry, the people in old folks' homes get treated way worse than waiters do, because you get some of those angry, cranky old people that you can't do nothing with. And if they couldn't handle it as a waiter, why are they going into a more demanding, into a situation where they're not only angry but demanding of you? Sorry, that's just a little little rant I see because stuff I've noticed.
Mm,
You know some of the people. You know some of the people I'm talking about. Say they could barely handle
yeah,
a bad tip or someone going, you didn't bring, could you please get that ranch I was asking for? And they will blow up and lose it. But they're about to go and they leave the job to go work in an old folks' home.
yeah.
I mean, it's like,
Check
what?
this out. Check this out right here. I thought it was gonna have the words. It says heartbreaking moment. A doctor breaks down and she's fined for giving a 10-year-old sexual assault victim an abortion. It doesn't have the words.
I say,
Uh,
what's her GoFundMe page?
so it says Dr. Caitlin Bernard was fined $3,000 for speaking out after she performed an abortion on a 10-year-old. The young girl who was sexually assaulted traveled to Indiana after Ohio passed a strict abortion law.
Yeah, see, this is one
So
where I'm saying, first, she's 10. Second, hard R. Both of those are reasons that should be taken off of the friggin' table with all these laws coming out. That's the only
yeah,
place where I feel like the government should be stepping in on the state laws. I agree with this all being state choice. But like I said, minors, hard R, family interactions, that nasty uncle, the brother, no question. No quality of life for the child due to deformities or other things like that. Risk of physical health to the mother. Those should all be no freaking questions about whether or not that can be done. And between a doctor and a psychologist, they can do an educated yes or no on the, health and all that stuff of, the mother and the child. That should never be a question, man. When they started doing that, that's when the right started going too far on all this bullshit.
yeah. Because I don't think there's any of those exceptions here in the state of Texas.
Yeah, they tried to kill all of those here. And I to me, a 10-year-old hard R victim being forced to give a child is worse than the punishment that we will give the man that did it to her.
Yeah. Completely agree with that.
She lives with the act and she lives with the fact that there is a child out there from that for the rest of her life. And to me, that is cruel and unusual punishment.
I agree. Let me read some comments. It says, she's a hero, protect women and girls. It's called healthcare. And in this case, it was life changing. Another comment, and why are the men impregnating these women not having any consequences?
These women, we're not even on that subject right now. We're talking about a preteen, 10-year-old girl. Hard, and I hope they got the guy, and I hope he is in an open yard in prison.
Let me read some more. It says, if you think a 10-year-old should birth a child, you're beyond help. Another one, how deplorable to prevent that child from obtaining an abortion. She's 10 and is a child who has had a violent crime happen to her. And to criminalize this courageous doctor, forcing her to choose between freedom and doing what is right, is an absolute moral stain. Comment, it says, protect our women and their right to choose. Another one, anyone who supports Republicans hates women. Another one, let's set up a GoFundMe and pay her back.
That was the first thing that came out of my mouth. What's her GoFundMe?
It
No,
says,
GoFundMe shuts those down.
yeah.
They shut down anyone who is collecting money to pay fines for a crime.
Mm.
So because that technically is a crime, she can't receive a GoFundMe account for it.
That's terrible. Let me
Dude,
read
if I
some
was
more. It
one of
says
those
she did
stupid
that.
guys with stupid rich money, I would sit there and I'd drop $30,000 right down on that judge's table and go, here's for the next 10 women that are courageous enough to do this.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's not the answer though. Let me read some more. It says she did the ethical thing, and she's on the right side of history. Another one. This woman saved that 10-year-old's life. Why isn't she being celebrated? Another one. Incredibly disheartening. Dr. Caitlin Bernard acted compassionately by helping a 10-year-old girl who had already suffered unimaginably. Finding a doctor for prioritizing a young victim's health and safety shows just how broken things have become since Roe versus Wade was overturned. Instead of focusing on protecting vulnerable individuals, we're punishing those who offer necessary care. It's heartbreaking that this is where we are. The right and lives of women and girls are being treated as secondary. Let's read another one. It says, there's going to be a special place for Trump and all the evangelicals who think they're doing God's work. Wait until they find out that it wasn't God who directed them. Couple more, I'm gonna move on. It says the prosecutors should be imprisoned as accessories to the that doctor is a hero. Another one, I'm with her. No one will force us to carry the product of violence and abuse. Really, really unfortunate. Let's look at this one. It says Texas A&M leaders think a 5-year pause in enrollment growth will buy time to correct crowding issues. It says the Texas A&M University Committee has recommended a 5-year pause on enrollment growth at the College Station's campus following a decade of expansion that saw the student population hit a record of 71,000, while many facilities, transportation, and support services failed to keep pace. Says other recommendations which aim to rectify the infrastructure issues could amount to hundreds of millions of dollars invested in staffing and physical improvements. The pause would come as thousands of admissible students are already denied entry into a flagship each year. For this fall semester, 3,030 undergraduate applicants in engineering, 1,225 in business administration, and 868 in biology were qualified but weren't offered spots due to space constraints, according to a committee report. So this is interesting to me because Texas A&M, the people who graduate from Texas A&M go on to be engineers and make hundreds of thousands a year. You know, it pretty much how it goes. And that's the reason why people want to go to that school. It carries a certain what is the word I'm looking for? You know, if you have that degree,
It's
especially if
a
it's STEM degree,
it's like it's in engineering and stuff like that. It's like having an Ivy League degree.
and you're gonna get that really good job. They're gonna give you that job because you graduated from
Yeah,
A&M for engineering.
A&M and UT students both are highly recruitable.
So in
But
this story, they're talking about, you know, cutting the amount of
so
students
they're not talking
coming.
about cutting the amount. They're talking about not
We're cutting the
growing
growth.
the amount.
Yeah.
Okay, first things first, you got to understand. College Station is a town of 125,000 people. That's their population. Now add 70,000 college students. As fast as the growth has been, it's not just the college that needs to catch up with its infrastructure, it's the city too. And the city doesn't get extra tax dollars from these kids. The only ones that they make any extra tax money from are when they go off campus and are buying things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you can see where it is a good idea for them to go, well, we're not going to add any, or we're only going to go up to 75,000 and stop enrollment there. That's going to do two things. One, it's going to give them the time to get that infrastructure rebuilt and stuff like that. And two, it's going to raise the quality of the candidates that come there. Because instead of just taking as many as they can now choose the best students to go there and thereby increase the quality of the education overall.
Mm. Comments, it says, can we agree that 70K students is way too big? Perhaps time to open more campuses and UT Austin rules.
Oh, wait, and is that enrollment strictly at College Station, or is it the satellites too? Because we've got 2 A&M universities in our area.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's like A&M Baytown, I think. They've got non-College Station campuses as well. Is that total across their enrollment, or is that just the College Station campus? Which, by the way, is a city into itself. I used to go there yearly for AggieCon, the science fiction, one of the biggest science fiction fantasy conventions in the state.
Let's read some more. It says, where all the Johnny football money go? Another one, great idea. Another one, too busy, worried about the wrong things, like how can we legally discriminate against minorities to focus on preparing for business growth? Another one, maybe defer students to Sam Houston. Another one, good idea, refer them to one of the other great colleges in the state of Texas. There are plenty. Another one, the state of Texas is dangerously underpopulated.
Well, you got to realize too, A&M and UT are where you go when Rice is too hard.
Another one. It says, so Texas is banning affirmative action. Yeah, A&M is going to just let the good old boys and girls in for the next 5 years and nobody else except for the white legacy students. Yeehaw. See, that's what I was thinking. And back to Rice. Did you hear the story about the murder-suicide that happened on campus at Rice?
No, I've been missing a lot of local politics because I've been following a lot of the local stuff because I've been following the campaigns. I've been trying to follow a lot of the South America stuff too because Venezuela's going nuts right now. Brazil's going nuts right now.
Yeah, Venezuela is
no offense to them, but people that I know from both of those countries have a special kind of crazy. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying it's a personality kind of thing. Where you come from gives you quirks.
Mad, unfortunate. Let's see. Is there a video? This says new details emerge about Rice University's murder-suicide victim. Let's wait for this ad and see if it's a video. Looks like it is, but it's, I was wondering about the kind of videos that just have the the print on them with pictures, and I figure those things are probably done by AI.
Yeah.
And that's why they do
You
them like that.
generate
They
the
don't have to
text,
have,
you do your video, and then you sync them together. If you're
and you
going
don't
to do
have to have
music
a
or speech.
person. Yeah, you don't have to have a person to do it. Yeah, so that's what this is, one of those infographic videos.
Heck, I'm working a project right now that's making my voice into an AI voice.
Yeah, I don't like these infographic videos like this. I don't like this, but it is what it is. So it says a Rice University student was allegedly fatally shot by her boyfriend, who then turned the gun on himself in her dorm room on the college's first day of classes. It says university police conducted a welfare check around 4 p.m. on August 26th and found Junior Andrea Rodriguez Avila dead in her room at Jones College in Houston. Officials also found a man dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound who was not a Rice University student. Avila is believed to be from Maryland, and the man is possibly from Florida, but that remains under investigation.
Florida man.
Yeah, Florida man strikes again. University Police Chief Clemente Rodriguez said the two were in a dating relationship during a press conference. Rodriguez also mentioned that police found a note written by the suspect in the room. University canceled all classes on August 27th. Houston Police Department is leading the investigation, which is being treated as a murder-suicide. So, yeah, that's that. Yeah, because I want to say I got messages on my U of H deal from this when it was happening. So, like, they did campus lockdowns and all of that procedures that they do, whenever stuff like that happen. And I think because I was on U of H, I was getting those same messages. So I was getting a real time updates.
Yeah, I don't even remember that being on local news. Because I still get my headlines every day, but that's all I get. I breeze through those and see what the dumbest thing to be said by a candidate was in the last 24 hours normally. And they're competing.
Yeah.
They're really competing to see which one says the dumbest thing.
Yeah, man. That's what I say. I mean, I've been unplugging from it. It's irritating. This was the we did the headline for this. So this is that guy that they were talking about, Palestinian TikTok star who shared details of Gaza life under siege and killed by Israeli airstrike. Says it was another day of war in Gaza, another day of what a 19-year-old Palestinian TikTok star, Meadow Hilimi, called his tent life, as he often did in videos documenting life's mundane absurdities in the enclave. Hilimi on Monday walked to his local internet cafe, rather a tent with the Wi-Fi, where displaced Palestinians can connect to the outside world, to meet his friend and collaborator, Talal Marad. They snapped a selfie, finally reunited. Lemony captioned it on Instagram and started catching up. Then came a flash of light. 18-year-old Murad said an explosion of white heat and sprayed earth. Murad felt pain in his neck. Lemony was bleeding from his head. A car on a coastal road in the front of them was engulfed in flames. The apparent target of an Israeli airstrike. It took 10 minutes for an ambulance to arrive. Some hours later, doctors pronounced Soleimani dead. Tributes to Soleimani kept pouring in Friday from friends as far afield as Harker Heights, Texas, where he spent a year in 2021 as part of an exchange program sponsored by the State Department. In this undated photo provided by Halimani Hirez Ahmad, Halimani left and twin brothers Mohammed Hirez center and Halimani Hirez right stand on a bench in Gaza. So yeah, there's that. It says at least 17 Texas National Guard have died securing the border, with one drowning trying to save migrants. That's really interesting, because this is not being covered,
We've
like the
been told that there
danger of
weren't
being,
any, we were told that none of our guys were dying down there.
yeah. So yeah, that's really interesting. And then even beyond that is, a guy dying as a result of trying to save the migrants, which is, so this story doesn't fit the narrative, and that's probably the reason why we don't hear it or haven't heard it.
Yeah, they're down
At
there to
least something,
save lives. It doesn't matter whether they're illegally crossing or not. They're gonna try to help
yeah,
people stay alive like they should be. Hey,
yeah. So it says at least 17 Texas National Guard members have died securing the U.S. southern border, with one drowning in the Rio Grande while trying to save migrants. The death toll was revealed during an August 20 meeting of Texas State House Committee on Defense and Veterans Affairs. It says comments. It says all because Biden and Harris refused to properly secure the border. Damn shame. Another one. More blood on the hands of Biden and Harris. Another comment. We can all agree that Trump border was better than Biden and Kamala. For an example, we didn't have migrant hotels under Trump in New York. We did not have migrant hotels all over New York under Biden and Kamala. It's strange to me how we can, you can have a story about, the National Guard dying, and then people want to start talking about, politics. Like they completely just disregard the death of these guys and go on to their political views. Another comment says Biden has been vacationing now for 2+ weeks. Harris has to give a recorded interview. This was the best Democrats have to offer. Another one, and Joe Biden, Harris, and the Democrats should be responsible for everyone and their families should file lawsuits against Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Another one, remember when Biden said no service members have died during his administration? It just shows how politicized the border is. Every comment is a political comment. Let's see, a couple more. It says, while Harris and Biden are like, what problem? Harris laughed, saying, no, I haven't been to the border, nor have I been to Europe, laughing. What's the big deal? Can we just fix the problem and move on, please? I think a lot of people think things are way simpler than they are. They love to simplify things in their head to make it seem like they understand when they don't, and they have no idea. Completely ignorant. Another comment says, wow, I can't believe the depths that Harris and Biden go to hide their orchestrated invasion. This comment doesn't even fit with what. Another one says, maybe the National Guard and military should be more outspoken about the current administration. Nobody's going to comment about these people dying. Another one, well, then maybe they should get more border patrols. Oh, wait, I forgot Trump killed that bill that would have added 1,500 more border patrols. Another comment. Where's the outrage about this? Another one. Stop saving migrants. Stop saving migrants. Wow. Just let it all the way out there. Quiet part out loud. This one, it says the press does many things and serves many functions, but its major role is to irreducibly res- responsibility. Irreducible responsibility is to continually recreate a view of reality supportive of existing social and economic class power. Dang, I ain't gonna lie, it sounded like a word salad. Maybe that's because I read it that way. Next slide. It says, I have never seen less who, what, where, when in my headline. It says, deadly airstrike shows system to protect aid workers in crisis. Yeah, this shows how the media writes these stories and writes these headlines. It's crazy. It says, fix the Pulitzer Prize winner, New York Times headline for some consistency. Oh, they said that on purpose, but I can't read it when y'all do that. Anyways, Israel shutdown of Al Jazeera highlights long-running tensions. So the change is they're saying Israel shutdown of Al Jazeera takes censorship to new extremes. And then this is another New York Times headline. It says Russia takes censorship to new extremes, stifling war coverage. Basically, what they're saying is New York Times doesn't have a problem throwing Russia in there in a headline like this, but it doesn't want to say the same thing about Israel. It says the New York Times intentionally avoids saying Palestinian land. It says in the West Bank, guns and a locked gate signal a town's new residents. Since the war in Gaza began, armed Israel settlers, often accompanied by the army, have stepped up seizures of land long used by Palestinians. So land long used by Palestinians, underlined. It says, this is how the New York Times is reporting the Jabalia refugee camp bombing. It says, Israel-Hamas war, Israel strikes targets Hamas stronghold in dense Gaza area. Hospital reports many deaths. It says the Israeli military announced that the airstrike had killed ringleader on October 7th attacks. The media director of a nearby hospital reported hundreds of injured people and dozens of deaths. Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to cover was about how like the Middle East is heating up, and the media isn't covering it very well. Maybe it's because of we had this political, we got this election coming up, and it's just kind of gobbling up all the space. But I don't think that that's the reason. I think there is a reason why, like the we've had this Hezbollah um, northern northern Israel versus Hezbollah deal, retaliation back and forth. Israel said did a preemptive strike. Hezbollah said we did a retaliatory strike. Anyways, I saw some clips that went down my timeline that showed things on fire in Israel. And it should be a really big story, but I haven't seen it on the major media. I only saw it coming down my timeline. I was gonna do a whole show about that, but time has passed now. I'm getting tired. It's 1:22. I think I'm gonna get out of here. Look at this. It says oligarchy is ruled by the few, plutocracy is ruled by the wealthy, Corporatocracy is a society governed or controlled by corporations. We have all three. It says, who holds the reins of democracy? Bars show how much each group's preferences on public policy are actually represented in Congress's decision. So the wealthy top 10% gets 78% represented in Congress decisions. Business groups is 43%, interest groups is 24%, citizens 5%. Yeah. I think a lot of that is common sense, but people just don't want to accept it. I think I got some of the clips from the Kamala deal.
That goal and that dream.
So you have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Never happened. We did it. So now, as I travel in the state of Georgia, that goal and that dream.
So you have been vice president for 3.5.
State of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited. I was in Nevada recently, a grandmother who showed me her receipts. And before we capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, she was paying hundreds of dollars, up to thousands of dollars a month for her insulin. She's not doing that
So
anymore.
you maintain Bidenomics is a success.
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, state of Georgia and around our.
So it says VP Kamala Harris responds to CNN asking her why she hasn't done any of the policies she has proposed after being in office for 3.5 years.
You noticed that she did not say out loud or would not say out loud that it was working. She just pointed out to a couple of successes. And the Trump policies, which got voted down by the House before they ever got to the Senate. Just, that's why I'm having problems with it this time. It's like she's taking credit for all the good stuff that happened during the campaign, but anything that we don't agree with, she's like, well, I wasn't part of that. That's Biden thing.
Let me read this. Kamala Harris responds to CNN. It says, what are your thoughts? Kamala Harris' first interview since becoming the top of the ticket in the Democratic Party. She now faces Donald Trump in the upcoming election. Couple comments. It says, I truly need social studies class to be important again. There are 3 branches of government, and the executive branch is just one of 3. The office of the president and the vice president are not solely responsible for all laws, bills, and policies. Another comment, I think the news needs to cover exactly the role of a VP in this country. They're in the shadows of the president with no pull. What did Mike Pence do as a VP under Trump? Another comment, it says, she is the vice president. It's not rocket science. Alexa, play Schoolhouse Rock. I'm just a bill, please. Another one, I'm sorry, did I miss when the economy recovered? Couple more. There are too many uneducated people with loud and wrong opinions. Another comment, to say they got inflation down is wild, funny, and slap on the face. Another one, she can't speak on nothing without bringing up someone else's name. Another one, they inherited a bad situation. The economy was at a record low, unemployment, the pandemic. It was a crazy recovery to still have the strongest economy in the world, low unemployment rates and inflation under 3%. They had a lot to do, but it's still work to be done.
But see, that's the whole thing. The deceptive thing about inflation being down and this and that. And it's like, no, it's really not. It's not rising as much. Yeah, it's only going up one to less than 3%. It was right around that during the whole 45 thing. They're making no account at all that everything is 20, 30, 40% higher. They're just saying it's not going, we solved the inflation problem. They didn't fix the inflated problem. They're just back to inflation being, so it's still growing 1, 2, 3% all the time. They're just not making any address at all to the fact that it's still up as much as it is. And that's why there's this confusion about the economy. Oh, the markets are doing great. America's doing good. No, that means rich people are trading stocks. That doesn't mean there's any relief to the man on the street that makes $100,000 or less. The ones that actually have to worry about where their next meal is coming from. The ones that are actually having to make the choice of, do I want to eat or do I want to be able to go to a concert, which I could have done a couple of years ago? That's what we're looking at. Everyone's talking about the markets. Everyone's talking about inflation is down, but that is not the economy that we live in. That is the metrics of the economy they use to baffle us with their bullshit.
I completely agree with you. That shit is all bullshit. We mentioned this earlier. It said Brazil blocks Elon Musk X after company refuses to name local representative. It said Brazil started blocking Elon Musk's social media platform X early Saturday, making it largely inaccessible on both the web and through mobile apps after the billionaire refused to name a legal representative to the country. The move escalates a months-long feud between Musk and Brazilian Supreme Court justice over free speech, far-right accounts, and misinformation. Justice Alexander de Moraes ordered the suspension on Friday. Comments. It says if Elon Musk does not respect Brazilian laws, it must be taken offline. Congratulations to Minister Alexander Moraes. I don't see how that would hurt, X. I think it only punishes the people of Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but I am a supporter of free speech. And yeah, misinformation and stuff like that, it is bad. But at the same time, misinformation starts a conversation about what the real information is. And the truth always comes out. It just takes a while sometimes. And the only way it's going to come out after a while is people talking about it. If you take all these things that are off information, instead of allowing people to discredit them, debunk them, and stuff like that, they're going to be shoved in a closet and become conspiracy theories. And people are going to believe them more because you tried to shut them up than because you let them go ahead and speak.
Yeah, they simmer right underneath the mainstream, and then they get. That's what happened with the flat Earth thing.
Alex Jones, he's another one. Nobody really believed his bullshit until the government tried to shut him up. And then all of a sudden, you start getting all the times he was right more often than all the times he was just screaming about gay frogs.
Right, because social media just clipped out all of the, the points that he was right. And then you see those going down your timeline over and over again.
And he nailed quite a few things that were way out there, to be fair to him. Some of his really out there conspiracies turned out to be true.
Yeah.
But, here we go with the broken clock, right twice a day, montage
exactly.
with him.
Yeah, exactly. And he was early with some of that stuff, way before. Like he was probably one of the first,
Like
big
before it made
voices.
sense.
Yeah.
Mosquito-borne virus threat as Americans gather for the long holiday weekend. 2 recent deaths from the West Nile virus in New Jersey, and cases reported in dozens of states. And the growing concern for the rare and potentially deadly triple E virus, especially in the Northeast. Here's ABC's Ariel Reshef.
Tonight, with New Jersey reporting 2 new deaths from the West Nile virus, health officials are urging Americans to protect themselves from mosquitoes with bug spray and extra clothing when the sun goes down.
This is when we are seeing a lot of West Nile cases. It's not fun to walk around like that at this time of the year when it's so hot, but I think it's really important to do that.
West Nile typically kills 100 to 200 Americans every year. In Missouri, 18-year-old John Proctor is on a ventilator after contracting the disease. His parents say it started with a headache and dizziness and then spiraled into a high fever with vomiting.
My son was a healthy, athletic individual. It's hard. The doctors describe this as a marathon to beat this virus.
From New York to New England, communities spraying to protect against West Nile and triple E, an even rarer and deadlier mosquito-borne virus. One of those cases in Plymouth, Massachusetts, where officials are taking extra precautions. Local high schools trading Friday night lights for a 4 o'clock kickoff. Not everyone on board.
It's a pretty big tradition here on Friday nights. I think the town should leave it up to the individual. If they want to take the necessary precautions, then do so.
We're not seeing more cases than we did this time last year, but health experts are cautioning that climate change is increasing the risk of mosquito-borne diseases.
Ariel Reshef for us tonight. Thank you. Now to the.
I think they're trying to scare everybody with the mosquitoes, but this things happens every year. But dang, the mosquitoes are big and they're freaking crazy. It's a lot of them out there. I would say that. Like freaking, I went fishing last Friday and I got bites on me still right now. Like that hasn't cleared up.
Dude, we're in Texas. It's like the roaches. They don't freaking fly up to us. They drive up in trucks.
Yeah, man. They was biting me through my clothes.
Though I will say Louisiana and Mississippi have mosquitoes that will eat ours.
Yeah.
I think they grow bigger when they do.
Yeah, I remember going to Louisiana, and it's like hearing the mosquito fly by, like it's like,
yeah,
like God dang it.
You can't leave it. You can't leave a gerbil outside, man. You'll come back out, and it'll be just like a dry sack.
Yeah, man. Them Louisiana mosquitoes.
Or they'll just grab it and fly off with it.
Yeah, there's something else. It says, with New Jersey reporting 2 new deaths from the West Nile virus, health officials are urging Americans to protect themselves from mosquitoes with bug spray and extra clothing when the sun goes down.
Well, you notice that she said deaths aren't up or anywhere above normal or anything this time of year, but due to global warming, it might end up being really bad.
Yeah.
Let's throw some sound bites and catchphrases in there. Let's hit that fear button a couple of times.
Yeah. Well, it's been raining a lot on and off, and we got standing water everywhere, and these damn mosquitoes are just having.
We need to rain. We've been needing this rain for 3 years, man.
Yeah.
We need to get our water tables back up before we start getting sinkholes.
Well, they should be back up, all the rain we've been getting.
Nah. Remember, man, we've had droughts like several years in a row now. I mean, dry, cracked ground. I mean, crap. I think the only thing more brittle than our grass right now is the feelings on the left.
Somebody said they're hitchhiking on all these illegals. I'm sure that was a joke. It's pretty funny.
They don't. The illegals don't bring in the West Nile ones. They bring in the malaria ones. You know that don't happen. They fly in on their own, right?
Yeah, that's
Now,
what I'm saying. I was like, I didn't know what to say.
Well, see, we actually have had malaria bearing mosquitoes here in Texas.
Yeah.
And those are coming up from South America. I don't know where the West Nile ones technically come from, because I'm not going to say they flew over from Egypt, because that's dumb. But the virus itself, I don't know. That I seem to see that more on the East Coast than I do anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, it's probably people. So you know how it is when they bite someone who has something in their blood, and then they share that shit with somebody else.
Oh man, you got to understand that that's one of those things that you got to be careful talking about, because if you remember back in the 80s, people were worried about mosquitoes transmitting AIDS.
Yeah.
And that was kind of fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Say, make sure you cover the toilet seat real well.
Yeah. I remember that shit.
Well, 84-ish was really the height right between the what the hell is this? It's a gay disease and we started figuring things out about it. And that's what I remember, because I was like 8th, 9th grade, and it really started getting into, I mean, it had been going on, but that's when they started getting a handle on exactly what it was, instead of everyone just thinking it was a gay disease and stuff like that.
Yeah, check this out. This is why they're afraid of real media, like real investigative journalism, which we don't have so much of anymore. We used to be so many investigative reporting stories. Now they're few and far between. But check this out. It says top Harris County health official fired after Chronicle investigation into $6 million contract. So Harris County Public Health leader Barbie Robinson was fired Friday amid a scandal over the department's hiring of an embattled California consulting company for a lucrative contract. Emails and other records the Houston Chronicle published in an exclusive story this week showed Robinson arranged for DEMA Consulting, management to run 2 county COVID-19 testing and vaccine sites 2 months after she was named executive director in spring 2021. And it's just another example of all the money that was made during the COVID situation. You know,
remember, we never heard anything or follow up about the 2 tent city hospitals that they put up here, where they were paying like the head doctors on them like $180,000 a month or something like that, or a week. I mean, just ignorant amounts of money just to be there, and they weren't even using the tents. They weren't even using the little camp things.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a huge money grab. Greatest transfer of wealth ever. And so many people cashed in.
See, that's
whenever you got all that government money floating around, you know, the sharks come out.
That's exactly what I'm talking about with Kamala's. We're going to give 25 grand to everyone that there's a first time home buyer. It's like, okay, well, you just raised the price on all homes by about 15 grand.
Mm.
And then BlackRock's going to sell off all that excess inventory at an inflated profit due to the prices right now. They're going to keep 40% of their stock to make sure they can keep rental rates high, and they'll sell off the rest. And when everyone starts defaulting on these loans, that they drop $25,000 down and got a bigger house, and they're pushing the limit, and they start losing those homes, BlackRock's going to come right back in and scoop them up for a quarter of the price.
Let me read some comments. It says Hidalgo managed to slither out of that indictment. I don't know how that is related to this. Another comment, it says, this is why journalism matters.
Because Hidalgo did a lot of appointing of some of those people too. And yeah. Say it's
Let me read
something
some
I
more
need to
comments.
look into a lot more, but Hidalgo, man, she needs to go. She was the one that before the government said it told us that you and I could not go back to work until we got stabbed.
Yeah.
She was the one that wanted to have papers for people that got jabbed or not allow them back to work, especially if they had human contact. You and me would have to be carrying papers like a certain era in a country far away that we stomped into the ground because they deserved it.
Let me read some more comments here. It says, ain't no corruption like Democrat corruption. Another one, it says, so much corruption from Turner's administration, rotten through and through. And now he's being given a gift of Sheila Jackson Lee's congressional seat. May she rest in peace. Another one, can we also get context on the purchasing parameters as well? Like the purchasing department also has to have them as an approved vendor. Let's give holistic context here.
Yes. No, I agree. There are things that you have to perform. I want to see what the grant was and the grant and the proposal of the company. Or did she go out and find people to do this?
Yeah. Is she getting scapegoated? Let me read another comment.
It don't
says,
matter. All these people are going to be Congress people in the next 5 or 8 years anyway, or running for government.
It says, would be curious to know if she got kicked back from that company as well. It is hard to imagine, with Houston being a hub of world-renowned medicine universities, that we would need to hire outside of our city for anything related to healthcare. I do not think Robinson was trained in anything medical. That's what caught my eye about this story from the jump was, where did they say California? Let me see.
Okay, so to run a testing site or something like that with a government grant, you yourself do not have to be a medically certified professional. You just have to manage medically certified business. You have your certified people, or you hire temporaries, which that's what they were doing, was they were hiring nursing students and temporaries and stuff like that to man the testing stations and stuff like that.
Yeah, but why did they have to go to a California consulting company?
Yeah, see, that's where we need to start looking. When we're talking about it now. Neither of us know a lot of details about it, even though it happened here, and we should. We pay way more attention to outside of Houston, which is why I tried to get back into Houston a little bit a while ago. Because we got all kinds of corruption and bullshit going on here, man.
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to look at stuff, local stuff more lately. Because I'd be looking at global stuff all the time, and I just be missing the local news.
I think our global audience too would still be interested in things that happen here, because there are always parallels, and wherever you're at, there's going to be parallels going on.
Yeah. So the macro versus the micro, it always reflects the other. So,
or just knowing that you're not alone in that bullshit. We're not projecting anything better. This is the city we're living in. This is what's going on. I mean, and we're a sanctuary city too. People
check it out.
People don't realize that we're a sanctuary city.
Mm-hmm. It says a top Kroger executive has admitted at trial that the giant grocery chain raised its egg and milk prices faster than the rate of inflation. During antitrust trial, admits Kroger jacked up milk and egg prices above inflation. Quotes, it says, the thing is, execs all over the economy were saying this stuff on their earning calls back in 2021, said one progressive economist. This was not a secret. So
I almost exclusively buy my milk at Kroger because it tastes better, and I never noticed a price jump all through there.
No,
No,
Kroger is already expensive, so
there
that's probably
was
why you didn't notice.
no man. Kroger's cheap if you know how to shop. Kroger's one of the cheap ones.
Oh, I don't see how that is. I go to HEB, and every time I go to Kroger's, I'm shocked.
HEB is
and I have a Kroger. I have a
HEB
Kroger card.
is actually more expensive. It depends on what you shop, how you shop, and if you know what the prices are at your different places. Oh, by the way, speaking about HEB, just to let you know, right now they've got bone-in ribeyes for $3.97 a pound.
Yeah, I don't ever have the patience to be looking at the sales and coupons and stuff like that. I just go
And
and do
that's
it
why
later.
you spend so much.
Um,
So
but
you got to watch those pennies. You watch the pennies, the dollars will come.
yeah,
Now, to be
well,
fair, I shop HEB too. I mean, but it depends on what I'm getting, what time of night I get off, and whether I'm special shopping or I'm grocery shopping. My grocery shopping, I do better at like Food Town and Foodorama. When you're just getting your other stuff, the veggies tend to be cheaper at Fiestas and stuff like that. HEB is good if you're trying to catch specials on meats and stuff like that. Kroger is best for soft drinks, milk, cheese. Um, that's about that's pretty much mostly. Regular everyday stuff, condiments, chili, things like that. They're a little bit cheaper than HEB, but like I said, Food Town, Foodorama are both cheaper than that. It's just okay. Like I said, I grew up in a household that we ate our morning cereal out of the Cool Whip bowl with chili stains and spaghetti stains in it. I'm used to. I don't. It doesn't take me time to do the shopping and the looking because it's integrated into part of my rituals. It takes me about 10 minutes to look at the HEB, the Food Town, and the Kroger thing online. And with the Kroger thing, all their digital deals where you really save good money, I've got the app, man. I pull the app out, scan it, boom, it clips the coupon for me. By the time I get up to the register, I'm paying 99 cents a pound for the pork loin instead of $3.97 normal or the $2.49 that you get if you're a card member. And you are a card member at all of those places too. You put your phone number in as a member.
yeah. What's important about this story right here? Hold on, y'all.
Now, egg prices, everybody kicked our asses on eggs. Like insane. 99-cent thing of eggs was up in the $4 and $5 range.
Yeah, we covered a story because they got in trouble for that. They caught. So, but what's important about this story to me is like I think about what's her name, Lena Khan. She's the one who's opening the door. Well, she's become popular. She's the face of it, I would say. How about that? And it's leading to more of these antitrust deals that's happening. She kind of didn't open the floodgates for that stuff. And I think it's a really, really, really good thing. And with us talking about inflation every 5 minutes, and then we're not talking about these people who are price gouging and price fixing, and they're getting caught doing this shit over and over again. And then we're still over here talking about inflation and the grocery prices and all of that. And then we're talking about politics and we talk about Kamala Harris and Donald Trump or whatever. And they don't have nothing to do with this. These are the corporations doing this shit, but they're not being held accountable. But now they are. There's these antitrust suits are going, they're popping up all over the place. They said that Google is a monopoly, and now they're going to have to litigate that.
Right now, there should be almost zero inflation. With that glut of cash that came on the market and all of that stuff, there should be almost zero inflation right now. Prices and everything should be staying the same or trimming down because of how much that they were exaggerated with all the problems going on. Now that the problems are all going away, though, the prices aren't dropping. Just like that gas tax, I know you receive goods and stuff every now and then where you work, or you've seen at least seen the forms. You know, back during the fuel crisis, Baby Bush, I think, when gas here in Houston went up to like $5 a gallon, and across the country it was like upwards of 8, 9. In California, it was like $10 a gallon. Well, all the delivery companies added a fuel service charge. And what happened when all those gas prices came back down, all of a sudden, diesel gas now costs more than regular when it used to be the cheapest. And that actually affected, one of the things that affects the entire industry too. And that goes back to because transportation costs, diesel gas being higher, changes everything from the farmers growing it to it going into the stores and stuff like that. I mean, remember, for a long time, people were going from regular vehicles to diesel vehicles because the gas was so much cheaper. But but when the prices all went back down from that high end of the $5, $6, $8 gas prices, that fuel charge on deliveries, it never went away. All the businesses still charge that $2, $3, $5 fuel service charge on deliveries still. And now they're wanting to add it again because of supply chain reconfiguration.
Yeah. So were you on the show when I did the Lena Khan clips and kind of went in explaining who she was?
No, I'm not real familiar. You're breaking up a little bit.
It's freezing up. Were you there? I didn't hear you answer.
No, I don't remember a lot about her. I know that she's the chick behind the Rising. Go ahead. I'm not frozen.
My internet is freezing up.
You're a little clearer now than you were.
It's me. It's me. I'm freezing. I don't know why it's doing that. But I want to play some clips for her, but my internet is still acting fine. Hold on, let's see. Let me read the comments right quick first. So it says, add this. The Perfect Union posted this. The caption is, add this to the long list of reasons why federal regulators should and currently are trying to stop the Kroger-Albertson mega merger. Yeah. Monopoly.
I thought that those two had merged a long time ago.
I know they were talking about it, but it takes a while for that kind of thing to happen. Let me read the comments. It says, can we just start a national movement to support local stores and farmers markets and boycott the big chains? Yeah, we should support local stores, but we don't have any anymore. They're all
Yeah.
chain stores, and the
Okay.
and the
Yeah.
farmers.
Let's have a sit down with a mother of 5 or 6 on welfare and have a discussion with her about buying local and not going to big chains.
What I'm saying is, there's not any anymore, and the hardly hardly at all. Everything, and the
And when
farmers
they
markets
do,
are
and when they
not
do
real
get,
either.
when they do get a store, they open 3 or 5 more as soon as they can, and then they sell the whole kit and caboodle to one of the big chains.
A couple more comments. It says uncertainty has always led to price volatility. Is this new information? I don't know what the hell is that supposed to mean, bro. We're talking about these people price gouging and price fixing. We're talking about an antitrust lawsuit, bro. That don't have nothing to do with what you're talking about, brother.
Actually, he makes quite a bit of sense saying that.
In
He's
this
just saying,
context,
he is saying what they are taking advantage of by doing that. They're taking advantage of uncertainty to create the price volatility with their fixing.
it sounds like he's
That's
making an excuse.
no, that's how they can do it, is what he's saying. It's not information. They keep you uncertain, and by your uncertainty, they can create volatility with the prices. Oh, there was a chicken disease. It only affected a certain amount and a certain bit, yet all chicken meat, all chicken parts, eggs, everything having to do with all of the chickens, no matter what breed or type they were, went up. Not just the ones produced by that specific, type or breed. It was either the meat chickens or the egg chickens because they're on completely different one. But the price of meat and eggs both went up because of uncertainty. Allowed them to create the volatility in the market, which they were then gouged prices with. It makes sense what he's saying. He's just saying how they did it. Basically, fear tactics.
Let me read some more comments. It says, I work at a county market. The price of half a gallon of milk went from $3.99 to $4.39 from July to August 2024. That's 10% in 1 month, dwarfing the inflation rate. Another comment, if it were true inflation, they wouldn't be able to make record profits. Real simple right there. You can't be saying I'm
You
making all of these
remember, though,
profits.
the law says they can only mark up a certain amount based on inflation. The government was claiming 10, 15, 20% inflation during that time. They marked it up. But again, when they mark it, they have not marked it down back where it should be. So they're still fucking above what inflationary costs are, but still under what was legal for them to move it up to.
Well, even during the pandemic, these people they were making record profits.
And never
So
leave your change and let them round up your change for the companies and stuff like that, because that money goes into account and they take a full tax deduction off of the amount in there. So you give them money, they donate it in their name, and then they take that amount of taxes out of their corporate earnings.
Yeah, I don't ever do that.
Well, where they
couple
round
more.
up or the little cup at the thing you put your change into and stuff. All of those, like I said, they claim they do give them to charity. Charity does get it, but they claim it as donations, but still take it off of their corporate amount of taxes, and it becomes a donation loss write-off for them. found that one out a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I get it. Comments, it says, and the gullible think it says, and the gullible think it was Biden's policies. Another comment says, just FYI, if I ever hear the line capitalism regulates itself again, I might do something drastic. Another comment, question to you, how is it wrong in capitalism? It's my eggs and milk. I sell for whatever price I want. No, it's illegal, bro, to price gouge, bro.
Well,
Price fixing is illegal.
This really isn't. It's one of those things like it really isn't socialism. It really isn't capitalism when the mega corporations and shit like that are actually in control. It's not fair market capitalism. It's Thunderdome capitalism. It's company eat company. It has nothing to do with the markets. It has everything to do with the companies. And we're just the ones funding their war. It's what I liked about Demolition Man. Taco Bell won the fast food wars, and all restaurants are now Taco Bell.
Yeah. I want to play a little bit of this. It's Lena Khan, FTC chair. I haven't watched this video. I just randomly looked this up just now while we was talking. So hopefully it breaks it down. I'm probably not going to play it all, but this is Lena Khan.
It's pretty short.
Yeah. And this is, hopefully, let's play it.
The Federal Trade Commission might sound like just another faceless government bureaucracy, but the work they do can impact prices from your local grocery store to Amazon. Robert Costa is in conversation with FTC Chair Lena Khan.
Monopoly. It's the game where you bankrupt competitors, buying up the board and charging sky-high prices. But from her Washington office,
there's a real battle for our country.
Lena Khan is playing a different game.
Anti-monopoly. You're playing that game in real life.
We are. The experience is not quite akin to playing a board game, but there are challenges and unpredictable swerves.
And sometimes you roll the dice.
That's right.
Khan is chair of the Federal Trade Commission. She's rolled the dice with one buzzy lawsuit after another. Big tech.
The FTC suing Microsoft to officially block its planned deal with Activision.
Big pharma.
Suing to block Amgen's deal to acquire Horizon Therapeutics.
Even big grocery.
The government is trying to block the largest grocery store merger in American history.
The FTC is an independent watchdog and warden of competition in business.
When you have companies that are not disciplined by competition, oftentimes they can get away with abusing their customers. Firms can become too big to care. There can be this basic indignity of being a consumer in America today, and that's what the FTC is trying to fix.
Khan finds inspiration in the golden age of trust busting, when government broke up Standard Oil and the railroads.
Made for 2 1/4 takers, 2 trains to go to Gateway.
And views recent decades as easy street for big business.
We're going to turn the bull loose.
There was a clear policy decision back in the 80s that it was better for the government to be hands-off. I think several decades on, we're really living with the costs of those decisions.
One of those costly decisions, she says, was consolidation of the U.S. aerospace industry.
I mean, over the last few months, we've seen firsthand how Boeing not being checked by competition in the marketplace has led to all sorts of issues.
Khan's biggest case so far, Amazon, arguing the retailer's tactics punish sellers over prices.
It can delist them from the buy box, make them disappear from the search results page effectively. Amazon knows that a lot of small businesses live in constant terror and fear.
Constant terror of
Constant
Amazon.
terror of Amazon, because they know that with the press of a single button, a business can see its sales drop by 80% or 90%. Overnight, a business can be looking at bankruptcy or liquidation. if it gets on the wrong side of Amazon.
Amazon is fighting back and says its practices provide good deals for customers. Khan's scrutiny of the online megastore began as a star law school student. And that stardom has only grown for the 35-year-old.
Boy, would you stay forever?
Even earning praise from so-called conservatives.
I look at Lena Khan as one of the few people in the Biden administration that I actually think is doing a pretty good job.
Her critics are just as fervent.
Khan's been a one-woman wrecking crew for your stock portfolio,
casting her as an overreaching anti-business crusader.
My problem here today is that you're a bully.
Is there a risk for the FTC taking an aggressive approach with these big companies?
Our focus is on making sure that we are enforcing the rule of law. And I see an enormous amount at risk if you instead sit on your hands and don't address the problems that people face in their day-to-day lives.
Khan's next move, investigating pharmacy benefit managers.
Hello, nice to see you all.
In Philadelphia this month, she met with independent pharmacists.
Over 300 pharmacies have already closed in the country,
who say these prescription drug middlemen are hurting their bottom lines.
We're losing money.
And their patients.
My voice is asking you, it's pleading you, and it's begging you. Something has to be done.
Whether it's on the road or in court, Lena Khan wants corporate America on alert. The only place you can get a monopoly is a board game.
So yeah, basically I just played that because it was related to.
Now I'm going to look into her more. You know what I got to say? One of the best moves 45 could make is say, I would like her to stay in office. I would like her to keep her job if I get elected. Because that's one of the one of the given
Robert
that's one of the
Costa.
given posts assigned, not necessarily. Yeah, she's one of those people that have an ton of power, but were never elected to the amount of power by anyone.
Yeah,
but
a point.
That's where I know her from. That's one of the arguments against what she's doing. She's one of the people that have been given immense power over a large amount of people, but have never been elected by the people.
Yeah, well, she's working for the people.
Yeah.
Unlike a lot of the representatives that are out there that were elected to.
Now I just hope she's not. And I just hope she's not one of the bathroom people. I boil it down to the bathroom people or the pro preteen modification people.
Well, that doesn't factor into this because she's FTC trade. She just goes after corporations. You know what I mean? Holding them accountable, holding like they said at the beginning, anti-monopoly. Busting up these big companies, keeping them from the mergers. If they're doing stuff like price gouging and price fixing, that kind of thing. She's going at them for, the people are the ones that lose.
Anything about that?
Okay, that's what
I just said all that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how the bathroom thing has anything to do with her.
Because other issues speak to intentions and morality and things like that, and what you're willing to do, what you're willing and how far you're willing to go and say things and do things. It is an issue that is a problem if people, like I said, I'm not going to get into it. You don't understand and you actively resist what I'm trying to say, but it is an issue, and it's an issue that's important to a lot of fucking people. And it is an issue that does affect, if you are a government person or in charge of things, it does affect the opinions and how you do your job.
Okay, let me read some comments.
Personally, I like her. Like I said, I just hope she's not a further leftist. I hope she's not doing this out of other sensibilities, but actually doing it what she says she's doing, which it seems so far she does. I'm just saying, hopefully not. I haven't looked into her yet, obviously.
Yeah, let me read some comments. It says, one of my favorite things of this administration has been Ms. Khan. Another one, what is good for Amazon is not good for small companies. Another one, this woman is spot on. Amazon is a nightmare to sell and the fees have gotten insane. Another comment says she needs to do food supply next. Have you noticed the three companies, Kellogg's, Nestle, and General Mills, manufacture about 75% products in the grocery store? No wonder grocery prices continue going up. These companies have no competition. Another one.
Yeah,
if this woman ever
and all three of those companies, the largest majority stockholder in them is BlackRock. Remember, we covered that not too long ago.
Mm-hmm. Another comment, it says, if this woman ever launched a presidential campaign, I'd support it from day one. For now, I'm glad she's where she is.
That's where I'm at. That's why I was saying what I'm saying. I want to know more about her other things and stuff like that, because she's 35. She hits a whole lot of check marks in all kinds of campaign stuff right now.
Yeah, but
I hope
she
keeps doing what she's doing. And like I said, I really would like to see a reach across the aisles of some of the people that did a good job. Like she said, 45 says or JD Vance is saying she's one of the few people in the administration that I think is doing a great job. I like to see that reach across, and I'd like to see it extended. If she's doing this good of a job, I'd like to see it continue into the next administration, even if 45 gets it.
Well, there's a lot of really powerful people that hate her. And
geez, let me guess, a whole bunch of corporation owners.
Yeah. And also,
they don't realize if their companies get busted like this and they have to sell off, they're going to make a shit ton of money selling it off and then turning around and putting the money in stock in the other company, because its value is going to go up, and then they're going to equalize, and then they're both going to start going up.
Well,
it's great for stock people.
On the politics side, you know, the people who are politicians, they are good at fundraising and they're good at, you know, winning campaigns. As far as getting stuff done, not so much. So these people like Lena Khan, they are not the same. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't see her having any interest in becoming president. You know what I'm saying?
That would be even better at the moment. But like I said, we're not talking about now. We're talking about 15, 20 years from now, when she's hitting 45 to 60, which it seems to be, we don't like voting them in less than that.
Yeah, but like I say, I don't see people like her going down that particular route.
Well, you don't normally see a prosecutor going into politics a whole lot unless they're going on a hard crime thing, because in general, most people understand that prosecutors will do and say anything to get the fucking conviction, you know, and they're, in general, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but prosecutors in general are against people, not for people. So they don't do it as well as politicians.
Prosecutors go into politics all the time.
And they don't they like I said, if they play a hard on crime line. And most of those don't go very far.
Prosecutors are already in politics. They got to be elected for those positions.
No,
for those that, like a district attorney, whatever. You know, what am I trying to say? The freaking
yeah, you're talking about. Yeah, I'm not talking about the anyway. Like I said, I put caveats in there, and you chose to ignore them, so that's okay.
Let me read a couple more comments. It says politicians easily bought. Bigger the company, more money spent on lawyers and lobbyists. FTC not a bully. They're trying to fight for the voiceless. Thank you. Please don't give up. Another one. LOL. She's wrecking your studio stock portfolio, Jim. These companies are wrecking our lives. Another one. It says Lena Khan is a superhero of the middle class and the poor. Another one. I love her. Protect this woman at all costs. Another comment. It says good piece on someone whose work may seem too boring for modern news doomerism, but is actually making a big positive difference in the public lives behind the scenes. Yeah, so basically it was what I was trying to say. Like, these people aren't politicians. The ones that get stuff done, they aren't politicians. Politicians raise money and win campaigns. People that get stuff done are going to be not popular. They're not going to be famous. They're not going to be interested in politics. Anyways, man, I'm tired and I'm freaking getting delusional, so I'm gonna get out of here. I plan to do a show either Sunday night or Monday during the day, because Monday is Labor Day and I don't have class. I have some schoolwork that I have to get done. I'm gonna turn that stuff in. Then after I get done, I'm probably gonna do a show. So and I might just go ahead and do one Sunday night. I'm either gonna do a Sunday night or Monday during the day. I'm not sure. We will see. I don't know if you guys like the format of today's show, where it was more news heavy.
Little less gloomy doomy.
Yeah, so that's kind of the direction I think I'm gonna go in for the future.
Little more information, little more information, and a little less
like opinions, talking heads. I want to differentiate myself.
That. I'm thinking more information, less exposition.
Okay.
Say more information for the amount of time, less large amounts of explaining things already, and more interaction.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna try to do more of, and that's why if you notice,
and less side heavy both ways.
And if you notice in the group chat, I've been the stuff I share is lighter and it's more news heavy. So that's the direction I'm kind of going in for the show.
Well, I've been trying to drop stuff in the chat from different creators and different styles. And they're talking about the news item that I'm talking about, and I'm letting them do it because some of them cover it real well. I kind of like the prison guy, JD Delay. I love his energy.
Wait, you sent one that I did want to share today. Hold on, let me see. I know I have it. Oh, here it is right here. Try it as an adult, which actually is kind of heavy, but let me go ahead and do this one right quick because I did want to.
Oh yeah, this is the guy that I've been watching lately. I like him.
Rolled in court, charged with first-degree murder, shocked the nation. The girl is said to suffer from severe emotional problems. The girl told police she was holding Jackson when he fell out of her arms and hit his head. Then she panicked and stomped on the baby to stop his crying.
They're trying this 10-year-old girl as an adult for first-degree murder. And I'm going to be real honest with you guys. I normally know how I feel about stuff, but I don't know how I feel about this situation. She stomped a baby to death, but she's kind of a baby herself. Now she's in court facing like what could be a life sentence. Sometimes I feel like there's situations where there's just not a good answer. And I feel like this is definitely one of those situations. What do you guys think about this? Let me know down in the comments. I genuinely want to hear some perspectives from other people.
Yeah, this story is terrible.
I
You know,
love the way he set it up, framed it, explained it, and then turned around and said, I don't know, man. We need to talk about this. I love the way he did that. Class act, just saying.
yeah.
This is hard, man.
Yeah, the girl obviously has freaking problems. You know what I mean? Like,
I think he said something in the very beginning about her having emotional issues or developmental issues. I'm not sure. It was just a quick reference at the very beginning, I think.
yeah. I heard it.
But still, 10 years old to be tried for as an adult. That means you have to believe that it was a planned, thought out, and immediately and malicious act. I mean, at most, it's that. Like I said, it's just it's hard to credit a 10-year-old with evil like that.
Well, they do it all the time. There was the story of the girl.
Oh yeah, I know it happens. Trust me.
The girl who killed her cousin and then positioned the body like she, man,
How old was she? How old was she?
Really close to this girl's age. Really close. I think 11.
Yeah. There.
Let me see.
There's been some as young as 7 years old that like set their parents on fire, kind of shit. But again, we want to know what kind of disabled or development things going on. But still, it's like you said, I don't know how to think or feel about this one. But I do feel like trying as an adult is not right.
Okay, here, let me share this one. She's 12, but they're charging her too.
Hey, I hate to say this, and I'm not excusing, but there is a huge difference between 10 and 12. Just like there's a huge difference between 8 and 10.
Let me play this.
12-year-old girl is in police custody. She's accused of murdering her 8-year-old cousin. The details I'm about to share with you are hard to hear. Police say Demaria Hollingsworth's body was found at a home in Humboldt. Police received surveillance video from the bedroom from a tipster. The video shows the 12-year-old using bedding to suffocate the 8-year-old cousin while she was sleeping. Demaria was staying at the grandmother's house. She was visiting from Nashville. Her 12-year-old cousin was visiting from South Carolina. The grandma says the two girls were inseparable. The DA says the evidence shows first-degree murder and tampering with evidence.
There is video where the 12-year-old goes and gets tissues and comes in and appears to be trying to clean the 8-year-old's body, face, and also moves the child, the 8-year-old, to appear that she was underneath the covers.
Police and the family are struggling to figure out why in the world something like this would happen. The 12-year-old appeared in a Trenton court today. A judge issued a gag order on this case. And the loss of Demaria Hollingsworth has left the community and their school quite saddened. She was a student at Cockrell Elementary School. In a statement, the school principal, Casey Campbell, says Demaria was known for her hard work, intelligence, and sweet demeanor. She also says she was a beloved student that will be greatly missed. There will be a candlelight vigil tonight at 8 at Cockrell Elementary in honor of Demaria.
So, yeah. Hold on. Let's see if we can pull up the one that he was talking about.
The one he was talking about, if I'm not mistaken, has gone gag order too. That's pretty much about all the information was the initial reports and stuff on it.
Hold on. Let's see if I can pull it up. Yeah, it's both stories are unfortunate,
Okay, so the one from the JD delay, that was an older video. So she was deemed unfit to stand trial and was confined to an adult unit at Winnebago Mental Health Institute.
Definitely needs some mental health. Help.
That sounds a whole lot better than a life sentence for a 10-year-old for first degree removal.
Inside Edition. 2 years ago. That one's 11 minutes. Hold on. 5 years ago. Let me see.
Oxygen is where I found it.
10 years old saw.
Yeah, I think this is it right here. Inside Edition.
Yeah, that
She's
looks like
brought
it.
into court charged with first-degree murder. She's comforted by her mom as the judge orders her held on $50,000 bail. And look, as she leans close to her dad, you can see there are handcuffs on her tiny wrists. The charge is shocking. The murder of a baby boy at a daycare center outside Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
City EMS, first responders, Cornell child. Caller states he was napping. He's having a hard time breathing and his head is swelling.
County Sheriff Jim Kowalczyk said the baby died 2 days later.
Injuries sustained by the 6-month boy was not an accident.
The little girl was living with foster parents who run a daycare center. She told police she was holding the baby when the baby accidentally fell out of her arms and hit his head on a footstool. She says she panicked and began stomping on the baby's head to stop him from crying. An imprint of the 10-year-old girl's shoe was found on the baby's head.
The disconnect is just mind-boggling. A crime could not be more horrific, and yet the culprit, allegedly a 10-year-old girl, it's so hard for the system to sort that out.
The girl's parents say she has a history of severe emotional problems. They have tried repeatedly to get her help, but have been told she's too young to be admitted to a mental health facility. Now the disturbing sight of a frightened 10-year-old charged with the ultimate crime.
Yeah. Just unfortunate all the way around. So did she ultimately get charged or what?
Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing okay.
That's what I was reading. According to Oxygen, she was deemed unfit to stand trial and confined to an adult unit at the Winnebago Mental Health Institute.
So she'd probably be there till she grows up.
She'll be there until the doctors feel like she can function in the world and not have anything like that happen again, which could be when she turns 18. It could be when she turns 80. She has to, just like once you get in there, you have to prove that you're not crazy to get out. But attempting to prove you are not insane is in itself an act that an insane person would do.
Yeah.
So that's why so many people don't realize, like, I believe we covered an article about a kid who tried to use temporary insanity for smacking somebody, which would have just been like a fine and a couple of months in jail. And he ended up like 6 or 8 years in a mental institution because he couldn't convince them to get out, to let him out.
Yeah, once you get in there, it's really hard to get out of there. When they put you on all those drugs, that don't help. But you
I don't
trying
know,
to be
man.
not crazy.
All this fucking watching politics that I've been doing, I'm thinking that might not be too bad.
I'm telling you,
it's free food, free drugs, got plenty of company, arts and crafts, board games. I mean, yeah, you might have to occasionally deal with someone rubbing butter all over themselves and grabbing a couple of sticks like a samurai and going after the guards. But hey, you know.
Yeah, man. That's why I've been unplugging from politics to keep from ending up in one of them places. You know, it's getting closer to this election, and things are just getting so crazy, man. It's like, wow. I can't, you know, I'm not giving it much of my mental capacity. My focus is graduating, and that's where I'm at.
The problem with politics is no matter what side you're on, if you're a Trump supporter or a Kamala supporter right now, you have to explain yourself. You can't just say, oh, I support him. You have to go, oh, because that side, blah, 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 or because him. You have to explain yourself if you support either side.
Yeah.
You can't just go, I do that, and people go, oh, cool. It's like, why?
Yeah. Well, there was some in the restaurant tonight. It was a older white couple. They had the Kamala Walls campaign shirt on. 24. Really strange, given where I work at. It's deep.
Most people over 60, I have to say, I would say 80 to 90% of the people over 60 are firmly on the right. Or excuse me, are firmly 45 supporters, even if they're not normally conservative.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I would go as far as to say that, but where I work is Trump County, is Trump town, is Trump world. You know what I mean? Like, that's what the majority of the people that come into the restaurant are. They're Trump supporters. And big time. Abbott had a meeting there at this restaurant. Like, we're in this certain neighborhood that's just it is what it is. So seeing them come in there with those Kamala shirts, I had to go talk to them. And I asked them a few questions and stuff. And there was another older couple that was with them sitting in the booth, and they were like, yeah, because I was like, you guys got to feel kind of uncomfortable coming in here with that shirt on. And the other older couple was like, yeah, we're their bodyguards. We're going to make sure they're good. We're going to walk them to the car and stuff like that. And like, yeah. So I was like, what? Y'all coming from a campaign event or something? Like, nah, we just wanted to represent, I was like, oh.
Fair enough. Say, I pretty much don't care what kind of thing you're wearing or shit like that. I'm going to try to strike up a conversation with you anyway, just because. And heck, I've even talked to some people about like some swastikas that they've been wearing and stuff like that. And turns out they're Nordic and not the bad guys.
Yeah. Well, anyways, man, I gotta get out of here. Peace and love. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for listening. I'm either gonna be back Sunday night or Monday during the day. Not sure. All right. Peace.